afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to this chamber today. And I'm sure many of you have never been in any chamber except Senator Katim. So enjoy the moment when you are here, because it's not going to last for very long. Mr. Theuri, you're welcome. Mr. Nyambena, you're welcome. Manza, you're welcome. Ngetich, you're welcome. And Kamende, you're welcome. All the other candidates who are here, you're also welcome. This is a practice in democracy, and democracy by the lawyers, for the lawyers, and with the lawyers. So as we start this debate, I know that it's going to be civil because you've always been people who are civil. It has been organized for ourselves, but it's been organized also to show the world that we can be organized, that we can do things in a different way, without throwing stones, without throwing bugs, without holding each other's collar, and that when we decide, especially starting from coast province or coast area, we can be very civil and organized to a fault. I will not go deep into this issue because I know siku iko na wenyewe. First of all, I thank Mr. Senator Katim Faki for assisting us to get this venue today. It was not easy and on short notice, and also for accepting a short notice to come and give us a short or long speech. It's not also easy. I know he's on the campaign trail. So we were told not to clap in the hall, but I would have said, let's clap for him. I don't know where they knocked, or they knocked down there. You guys can practice. Yes. So without much ado, I will not spend much of your time, because we have also spent a bit of time settling in. Let me just go straight and invite Honorable Senator Katim to give us his speech, because he's needed somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Opulu, Chair of Mombasa Law Society. Good afternoon. First of all, I wish to welcome you all to Mombasa. I'm the sitting senator of Mombasa County. Those who have come from our country, welcome to Mombasa. Secondly, I also want to welcome you to this County Assembly Chamber of the Mombasa County Assembly. As you are aware, I'm a member also of the Assembly, and I do have the authority to address the Assembly at any time I would prefer. So I'm also a member of this Assembly. Number three, I want to clarify that our senior here, Mr. Lumatete, was also a chair of Mombasa Law Society, and he also went on to represent us in the LSK Council. So maybe Madam Pare may not have known that, and maybe we have not had a list of all the chairs of the Mombasa Law Society for many, many years, because this is the oldest bar association in East Africa. As you are all aware, Mombasa was the seat of the government of Kenya at some point. And he also had the seat of the East African Court of Appeal, which also had jurisdiction up to Southern Yemen at that particular point. So Mombasa has a very rich history, and I'm glad that the organizers of this debate chose Mombasa as the first port of call in this great debate to choose our chair for the year 2022-2024. I hope the debate will be mature and people will be allowed to canvass their ideas so that we choose the best chair of our society. We may not, maybe for this first debate, be able to make up our minds on who should be the president. But but it will go a long way in creating an atmosphere that will give us an opportunity to determine who will be our president for the next 2 years. Again, this debate comes at a time when we have started preparations for the general election. And such debates will also come in for the presidents, for the governors, for the maybe senators, and for the members of parliament, where possible. And even the county assemblies, there are some institutions that will hold such debates. I remember in 2017, we had a debate which was organized by Korea. Korea is a human rights organization in Mombasa. We had a debate at the Baraki Hall, which was very successful. And I'm also aware that Mombasa Law Society does such debates whenever they are holding elections. So it's not a novel idea, it's an idea that has come to light, and we need to support it with all our efforts and resources, so that we inculcate in our society the culture of debate, and also make our leaders accountable, so that when they are in office, they also know that they made certain pledges during their campaigns which need to be fulfilled. I hope you will not hold me accountable on the 9th of August when we go back for the general election, because I'll be defending my position as a senator of Mombasa County. So I don't want to take much of your time. I'm happy that all the candidates are here well prepared, and I want you to make most of the time in these debates. So I declare the debate officially open, and I will invite the moderators maybe to come in and proceed from their members. I may not sit here for the duration of the debate because I'm supposed to go to Kinango for the Azimio rally there. So my apologies, but I'll be joining whenever it's possible. Thank you. God bless us all.
Thank you, Senator. I think now I can hand back the microphone to Sherry so that you can do your thing.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Senator, as well, and thank you everyone who's here and who has honored this call. This is an opportunity for the candidates, the vice presidential candidates, as well as the presidential candidates, to give us a comprehensive picture of their policies and of their commitment to the issues that are of greatest concern to members. This is the debate that is organized by the Mombasa Law Society, dubbed as the Grand Debate, and it is being held here at the Mombasa County Assembly Hall, and it's being streamed live on Mombasa Law Society social media handles, that is on Facebook and on YouTube. Our handles are Mombasa Law Society. If you are like Senator who's going for an Azimio meeting, you can follow up if you are not able to sit through the whole meeting. On both sides, as I've mentioned, on both sides, the handle is Mombasa Law Society. We wish to also just again thank the presidential and the vice presidential candidates who have honored the call for this debate and submitted themselves to the grand debate, and for each and every one of you who's here today. Before we got in here, we conducted a ballot for the candidates, and I wish to just confirm that all the candidates are sitting according to their numbers. Number 1 is Faith.
Let me just say something. Good afternoon. I just want, for purposes of clarity, we'll do some adjustments in the seating arrangement. We are embarking on the vice presidential debate. The presidency comes after this. So we would humbly request that we reserve this seat and this seat, the first two, for the vice presidential candidates. So Mr. Mwanza, Mr. Akusala, your turn is coming for the presidency, but we'd like to have, oh, I'm promoting him, eh? But we are having number 1 and number 2 there for the deputy, the vice presidency, and then we'll have number 3 and 4 here in the first 2 seats. Yeah. And when the debate for the vice presidency ends, then of course you'll make room for those who are for the presidency. Number 1 and number 2.
So Faith, you could move to this side.
Faith, you're number 1? Come on this side, please. And you're number 3? So 1, 2.
Thank you very much. Before we start, I would like to bring our attention to the rules, and I'll just go through them really fast. The rules of the debate. Number 1 is no candidate can comment on motivation of an opponent. A person's motivation is inherently unknowable to anyone but themselves, and comment is limited to what the other person has said or done. Number 2, no candidates can comment directly on an opponent's character or do so by implication. Number 3, note that the rules apply even in cases where a candidate truly believes that their opponent has a serious character deficiency, directly raising the question of character degrades the attacker and attack and the entire process. Number 4, no candidate can present an opponent's comment or action out of context. And any presentation on an opponent's statement or action must agree with what a reasonable person would access with all information would consider accurate. Number 5, in presenting numbers, estimates must be clearly identified as such. Number 6, a candidate must actually believe in any estimate or any statement they give. 7, in presenting actual numbers, the source must be identified. If the accuracy of those numbers is under serious issue, then that must be stated, and in general, the same rules for estimates should be followed. Number 8, in presenting an opponent's opposition, the best possible interpretation of the that reason must be given, even if the candidate disagrees with that interpretation. 9, it is not necessary to state what the source of your opponent's estimate was, although in some cases that might be useful and will certainly be fair. Number 10, no candidate can present situations as accepted facts. And 11, no candidate can directly contradict an opponent without supporting evidence. It is acceptable to point out gaps or contradictions in an opponent's proposal, but only if such statements generally are informed that are linked with that reason. And number 12, the chief moderator will direct the public forum debate proceedings from the beginning to the end, and consultation of the moderators and their positions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now go straight into the debate, and I will proceed to invite the moderators for this vice presidential debate. To my left is, I know they have already been introduced before, but it would not be fair, or rather, it's only appropriate that I give you the full picture of who these people are. Dr. Sandra Kinyanjui is an academic consultant, advocate, and organizer in Kenya, an accredited assistant counsel at the International Criminal Court, and a certified professional mediator. She teaches law at the University of Nairobi, Mombasa campus, and currently serves as the director of the Mombasa campus. She holds a PhD in law from the University of Manchester in the UK, and a master's in law development, LLM in distinction from the University of Warwick in UK, and a Bachelor of Law from the University of Nairobi, Kenya. Dr. Kinyanjui has research interests in governance-related issues, mediation, arbitration, criminal justice, restoration justice, human rights, international criminal law, gender, and transitional justice. She is a leading expert in criminal justice in Kenya and has consulted for the judiciary, probation and aftercare services, and the Department of Children Services, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kinyanjui for you. The other very distinguished moderator is Mr. Joel Obura, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with interest in governance. He's a former chairman of the Mombasa Law Society between the years 2005 and 2007. He's the current chair of the Mombasa Advocate South Welfare Association. He served as a member of the team that drafted the National Legal Aid Policy in the Republic of Kenya. He's the immediate past convener of the MLS of Mombasa Law Society Employment and Labor Relations Committee. He's a practitioner in private practice. He is a husband of one and a father of two twins, that is a boy and a girl. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the moderator for today for the presidential time.
Thank you very much. Just some housekeeping. I just want to notify those who are probably standing that we have a lot of room upstairs in the public gallery. So you are at liberty to go and take your seats in the public gallery. Welcome, Dr. Kinyanjui.
I need to monitor what is happening online. My phone is almost going off.
Kenya as a council member and thereafter as the secretary to the board. I've previously also served at the Law Society of Kenya as a Nairobi representative. I am vying for the position of the Vice President of the Law Society of Kenya. What do I want to offer to our membership today? I'm seeking to vie for Vice President because I believe in the rule of law, and I'll be seeking to build further what I had previously done at the PIL committee to ensure that we can be able to coordinate cases and be able to track data and be able to hold the judiciary to account. And also the matters that we have filed as the Law Society of Kenya. With regards to devolution, I believe in the branch matters of practice and wealth. And if you empower the branches by lobbying for more funding for the branches, then the membership can feel the Law Society closer to them. I also believe in good governance. The position of the Vice President offers you a good platform to be able to put in the proper structures, to be able that our members may have more transparency and accountability with regards to their money. We need to have proper budget processes and approvals, put in the necessary financial and procurement manual so that we may also have structures finally that the society can stand on, and also ensure some level of professionalism with regards to how we treat our members of staff and even how recruitment is done, so that we separate politics from professionalism. And last but not least is member services. I want that if I'm granted this opportunity, that members will finally have a cover that not only a medical cover but also a last expense cover. The last 2 years we have witnessed we have lost a lot of our members, and we're always coming together to fundraise. I think it's time to think outside the box and think of something different, a package that our members can rely on, and also think of financial services that our members can finally get opportunities if we lobby using the numbers that we have as the Law Society of Kenya, that we may partner with the LSK SACCO amongst other financial institutions to offer packages that will be beneficial for our membership. So those are part in a snippet of the things that I would like, if I'm granted the opportunity, to serve you, members of the Law Society of Kenya. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Recognize all our seniors in the room and our young colleagues. My names are David Nyamwea Mungeri, ordinarily practicing in Nakuru, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy that I've joined this race to be the Vice President of the Law Society of Kenya. We have witnessed out of the ordinary recent events in LSK, which we should not have witnessed. We have lacked focus. We have lost our members in the midst. Now, the reason why I chose to run, for your information, I'm doing my 21st year in practice. The reason why I chose to run are three major things. Number one, we have to be accountable to our members. Without accountability, there will never be trust. Without accountability, there will never be trust from our members. We need to design a way of ensuring that governance within LSK has internal audit that we can trust, external audit which also members can vote for. Because we members give a lot of money to our council, which is left unaccounted for. We cannot continue like that. Some structures must be designed in a manner that is we can be able to experience transparency. When we have accountability, we have effectiveness. When we have accountability, then we will have responsive leadership. That is what we are looking at. We need to have deliberate effort done by the council, which I will persuade my colleagues if elected, because we have to focus on our members, proper service delivery, and quick information. Because once you deny members information, that's when they start guessing. So I urge you, members, other than accountability, rule of law, and equally respect among our peers, seniors, juniors together, that we can run this society forward. Thank you so much. I hope I did not exceed so much.
Ladies and gentlemen of the bar, good afternoon. My name is Akusala Lopez. They call me main man sometimes. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya for 8 years running. I was admitted in 2014. I've served in the LSK as a member of council 2018 up to 2020, during which period we had tremendous progress as a council and also as a member of that council. It's during that period that we, for the first time, came up with the directorates of the Law Society of Kenya to implement Section 28 of the Act, where the LSK is supposed to run through directorates. It's also during that period where myself, together with the PIL committee, did draft the PIL code, the Public Interest Litigation Code, to make sure that there is a system within which LSK can function in terms of public interest litigation. Now, why have I chosen to run this time? And I would pick from where my learned senior has left. The last 2 years have been catastrophic, to say the least. We want to get back to the basics. We want to go back to the drawing board. We want to go to the place where the rain started beating LSK in order to salvage the little that we have and rebuild. Together with the president that will be elected by the members, I have volunteered myself to assist in co-captaining the ship to ensure that it is run in the right way. LSK has a culture. LSK has structures which need to be enforced, which need to be, in fact, strengthened. Now, there are two issues that LSK should be dealing with, and those are the twin towers that I have proposed. Number one is member services. That is basic. LSK functions because the first call is towards the members, ensuring that services to the members are actually implemented. How are we going to do this? Number one, to ensure that there is a functional directorate within the LSK. All those directorates under Section 28 must be operationalized so that LSK discharges its functions to the members. If we do not have the directorates, then it means we are incapacitated. We need to enforce Section 28 properly. Having them in law is not enough. Implementing them is where the trick is. Number two, branches, all the way up to the chapters. We're talking about not just there being an allocation of funds, but ensuring that these funds reach the branches in good time. It is budgeted and it is accounted for step by step. So branches are an important cog in ensuring. I'll take a minute. Branches are an important cog in ensuring that this LSK works from the top up to the bottom. Now, the second one is rule of law, ensuring that PIL functions. If we LSK under Section 4, if we forget what LSK's duties are in terms of serving the public, then we have lost the plot. It is basic. The defense of the rule of law is very important. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk more in the course of the day. Vote for me.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the bar. It's a great day today. I'm happy to be here. My name is Deborah Ajwang, or Anditi. That's my middle name. I have been a member of this association for 16 years, and I describe myself as a diverse member of the legal society. Why? Because I have served in various capacities across diverse areas. One, I have practiced in private practice as a lawyer, litigation. I have practiced in the NGO sector championing human rights at the Cradle and the Kenya Human Rights Commission. I have also practiced in-house, and that is my current position. I'm currently the head of legal and company secretary at one of the financial institutions. Why do I think that I am the best person for this position? Because my diverse background, as I have mentioned, gives me a broad spectrum of understanding the various issues and key factors that make a society great. I have a background in company secretarial, which means I am a champion of governance. I have been a company secretary, which means I sit in boardrooms, and I am part and parcel of decision making. My diagnosis of the biggest challenge we have in the Law Society is corporate governance. If we resolve the corporate governance issues at the Law Society, everything else will fall into place. By everything else, I mean accountability, transparency, responsibility, social responsibility, fairness. All those fall under corporate governance. And if we were to resolve that, we will be resolving all these other issues. Secondly, accountability. I need not go into details of that. We must be accountable, both council, members, as well as the secretariat. It cuts across the board. Professionalism. We must bring back the glory of the lawyers' society. We are an elite society, and that is across the world. We must remember that. I long for the days when I used to walk into court and my senior would introduce me before I speak. We have lost that. In exchange for that, I respected my seniors. I did not speak when I went into court. They would actually introduce me, and I would talk to the court with the permission of my senior. These are the traditions that we have lost, and that has transferred into a profession where we do not respect each other. We must remember that we are an elite society, and we need to regain that glory. When we regain that glory, then when we speak to the public, to whom we are accountable for upholding the rule of law, we will be respected. Finally, service above self. We must remember as council that we do not go to the Law Society to serve ourselves. The moment we are in council, we should forget who voted us in. We leave our constituents. Who voted you in at Gitanga Road Gate? You go in and you build consensus. Thank you.
Let's start with the context and history. And the Law Society is a place. In fact, one newspaper article stated, and I quote, "A noisy and rudderless Law Society of Kenya will elect new office bearers on March 17. Noisy and rudderless is what we have been called. So what ails the society? And Deborah, you started, but please carry on and tell us what is the diagnosis. You've talked about corporate governance, but what else and what's the prognosis?
Thank you. My diagnosis, as I touched on earlier, is that it's corporate governance. Because corporate governance touches on various things. Like I said, transparency, accountability, professionalism. And when we do all these things, then even the society that looks up to us will not find us noisy and rudderless. When we have corporate governance and we uphold the principles of corporate governance, then we leave a mark and we are leaders in the society. But if at home we are unable to do that, and we get into a point where we are fighting with each other, then they cannot respect us. So simply put, my diagnosis is corporate governance. If we resolve that, we resolve everything else.
I think the biggest problem we are having in LSK is electing members who do not understand what LSK is and what LSK is about. I think the first thing when a council comes in office, there needs to be some form of orientation. A reading of the LSK Act, basic reading of the LSK Act would go a long way in solving most of these issues, because Section 4 is clear. Most of these things that we're arguing about actually are anchored in law. We should be talking about methodology as opposed to what forms the substance of running LSK, and that is where the sticky point is. Let me explain further. It is an open secret that most councils, actually the entire council is elected from different people. There are those upcountry, Nairobi, Coast, they conglomerate together to come and form a single unit called council. But for each to function as council, they need to understand that it's a team. And this team has to have results. For us in 2018-2020 council, we had a problem because we only came together to think about a common plan one way into our term. And I can assure you, the moment we sat down together and agreed on a common plan, we did marvelous things. So that is the first thing we need to do. Once a council comes in, let them come, let us reason together, then come up with a common plan. Number two, again, as my colleague has said, let us forget about the constituencies that have brought us in council outside Gitangaro. Let us have our members. Remove moles, people who would leak secrets of whatever is happening within a council meeting. Sometimes you are sitting in a council meeting, before you even finish, members of the society already know what you are discussing inside council, and they start slating members of council. It is wrong, it is absurd. Therefore, I think we need to go back to the basics of reading the Act, ensuring there's a proper handover. And I remember the council that had, the COVID council that has just left, there was no handover. They just assumed office. So no one told them that this is how things are done. No wonder 4 months down the line it was down split in the middle. So we need to have a proper process of handing over, process of training, so that people who join council, from the first day they sit in that office, they understand that this is our main goal, the members and the rule of law. Thank you.
Thank you, David. No, Akusala, over to you, David. I was about to cut you short, David, but over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, what I think can work is a situation where once council is elected, they run into a place where they find there are rules governing how they conduct themselves. We have both the council and we have the members we've employed who serve us, the secretariat. We need to intentionally design a code of conduct among our employees. Then we need to have kind of servant leadership that must trickle down from the president, vice president, and council members. Why I say so is the push and pull that we have had is people who don't want to be accountable. The moment you resist accountability, then you have lost the plot. We must be able to look at the results of our work. My proposal is that once this council assumes office, we have good learned people, like I have had a good CV from one of the moderators, people who are learned in corporate governance, a training for council members, a training for our secretariat to understand how an organization is run. But if we just dive in, go in as individuals who have just congregated together, even a team cannot work without training together. Then we have respect, we have a trickle-down effect from the president, then we respect the secretariat. Without that, we will continue with the wrangles. Then finally, I wish to state that when you allow yourself to be accountable, transparency will just flow. Effectiveness will flow. Because you receive information, you are able to know what your members require. Lawyers require very simple things. Give them their practicing certificates early, give them their services early, communicate, then everything will fall in place. It's not complicated. The only reason we do this is we hate one another, we detest one another. I don't know how it came about. I agree with Deborah that we lost the plot when we did not invite our seniors into it. We have to deliberately invite our seniors into this running of the society. If we are not going to do that, we still are going to have these problems. So I urge that the council that I will, if elected, is to have a deliberate effort, convince the people we are elected with, that we can have our seniors incorporated in the running of the society deliberately. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And we've had an outsider perspective, Faith, an insider perspective.
First of all, let me first acknowledge to our members. It is truly sad, the events of how...
Please draw closer to the microphone.
Okay.
I want you to be fully heard.
Thank you. First of all, I want to acknowledge to our members that it is truly sad the way the events turned out during this tenure, these last 2 years. It's quite unfortunate what happened. What I would tell you is I agree with Akosala about the issue of interests. Also respect was a challenge. Maybe an insider view was one of the challenges that council have. And it's true, you must remove the coat of your supporters and the interests that you're carrying before you join into council. You must remember that you're not representing the interests of people who supported you, but you're representing the interest of the entire Law Society of Kenya. It won't matter whether somebody voted for me or supported a different vice president or a different president, but when you get into that office, remember that the entire LSK is looking up to you. And I would like to refer to when Barack Obama took power, when the country was split, he reminded people that today he's here standing to serve the entire American nation. And maybe that's something that council members, when they join the council, they must remember. Interests, wear off that coat. And something else that Akosala has said that I agree with was this element of failure, and I would put it also tied to what Deborah said, failure to adhere to corporate governance principles. The law is clear, it's in our act how we make decisions, and yet when decisions are made and even before we are finished with the meeting, supporters are already posting on social media information that should remain confidential. And I remember the training that we had with my senior Professor Kere Maura. That was one of the key challenges that he was trying to tackle in the council about the importance of confidentiality. Once council makes its decisions, the entire council is bound by those decisions. And you must respect that when you join council. And for me, another issue is implementation of structures. The Law Society needs to implement certain structures to ensure there is the element of accountability and transparency. And that was part of the pillars that I'm standing on for good governance, such that members will be able to track and analyze how their money is being spent and have that confidence that the council is not misusing their funds. So for me, those are part of the issues that was bedeviling the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates. Deborah, I think we'll be able to come back to you. We'll ensure everybody has sufficient time. And thank you because you're doing very well so far with timekeeping. Remember, the rule is 3 minutes when you're given a chance. So we'll go to the next question. At this time, we'll run it from number 1, 2, 3, and 4. From experience, and this question is a bit personal, but from experience, the test of a council is how it responds to a crisis. From experience, the test of a council is how it responds to crisis. Could you kindly give our audience today concrete examples within those 3 minutes of how you have demonstrated leadership in crisis? Let's start with you, please.
Thank you. As I had mentioned in my introduction, I had previously served as a secretary to the FIDA Kenya Council. I was a young advocate of 3 years standing. FIDA Kenya was faced with a challenge that donor space was shrinking, and we didn't have enough money to pay for salaries. And so there was a hard choice to be made. Are you going to keep all your employees? Are you going to fire? How are you going to fire them? And what procedure are you going to use? And remember, this is a women organization. It also has to have a human face. So we were at a crisis and at a crossroad. So for me, what we did in that council was that we sat down first with the staff. We put to them to the table what challenge we're having. We'll either close this organization that has been serving members of the public, serving men, women and children particularly, and or should we save it? And because of the love and passion of the employees, we agreed together that let's reevaluate the whole process, because also we didn't have a proper job descriptions and job groups. We reevaluated everything. We had to re-interview some of the members afresh. We had to lose some staff. The ones who we lost, we tried to give buffers. But at the end of the day, it was done jointly. Yes, there were members who were disgruntled. Yes, there were employees who were disgruntled. But because we came together and explained to them the predicament, at the end of the day, the society came out bigger and stronger. And today, FIDA is growing bigger and better than it ever was. The Law Society of Kenya, we were at a crossroad, we were at a crisis. These last 2 years have not been easy, as particularly for some of us standing here. We have faced cyberbullying, we have faced abuses and defamation to our character and our person. How did we deal with it? As a person, we decided to hold forth and continue serving members as best as we could. We had passed over 2,000 applications, members who are applying for PCs, applying for notary publics, applying for commissioner for oaths. If we decided to put down our tools, I don't think that would have happened. Yes, it is a crisis. Yes, we've had challenges these last 2 years, but also as during these last 2 years is when public interest litigation profile in the Law Society has risen considerably. And I would also give credence to the President, because that also was a committee that he also gave his blood and sweat to. So during this crisis, that's how I have, as a person, these 2 instances I've contributed. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. Over to you, David.
I don't know what's wrong with it. Fine. Okay. Now, I must admit that how the council responded to their own made crisis was not the way to solve a crisis. The reason I say so is that the council did not want to reach out to all members of the society, of our society, senior members who have been in such crisis, to see how they can get out of it. One thing they did was escalate the crisis. Escalate the crisis to their own supporters. Now, I wish to state that on my own,
just give me a minute.
I was coming there.
I'm sorry, but please answer the question. The question is, and I think it is a personal
That's where I'm going.
Yes.
Let me go there.
I want you to use your
Yes,
time.
thank you. Now, let me admit one thing, that I have served as a chair of the Rift Valley Law Society, a diverse council, for 2 terms, where we have divergent views, people coming with their own issues, dealing with accountability, dealing with a small budget, when you don't receive funds from the national office, but you soldier on. The reason why you can do that is to be open with members. Tell the members the truth. Reason with the members. Respect your members. Give them information that can assist in the running of the society. Now, when you look at what we are experiencing currently, how we can come out of it is being honest with our members. Being honest with our members in the sense that we know what is ailing us. What is ailing us is lack of unity as a membership. We need, once you for example, elected to office, we need to design a way of, the way Deborah said, we forget who elected us, we design a plan, a working plan for the society. In fact, when you look at the diverse society we have a crisis in a branch, there are no funds. Funds are not coming. How do branches manage such crisis? We must be deliberate. We must have structures that automatically deliver on some of these promises. Because we already know Mombasa branch exists, the Rift Valley branch exists. We should not tie this to our own feelings, that I can only release these funds because of this. Then we also encourage our branches to be accountable, so that they are able to file their returns, their audits early, not to delay in all this. This one will lessen the anxiety among our members. Again, let me tell you the motivation that caused me to run. It is because I felt that we need some voice of reason in that council. I want my experience, long-term experience as an advocate, hope will give voice of reason and encourage other members. I'll be the moderator in between there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are moving to a Kusala, but I want to repeat the question. The test of a council is how it responds to crisis. Give the audience concrete examples of how you have demonstrated leadership in crisis.
Yes, I'll give my accounts to two different levels. Number one, when I was in council, 2018, 2020, and when I was without council after 2020. Now, there is a time where we had a division in council as regards in the run-up to the JSC elections. Essentially, it was about interpretation of Article 73 of the Constitution in what constitutes integrity. There was so sharp division that it's a matter of public notoriety. People were hired to come and boo us at Supreme Court and etc. Council was divided in the middle. What I volunteered to do was to do research and present a paper to council. My colleagues will attest. A research that is going to guide council on how to interpret that section properly in terms of clearing candidates or otherwise. Number two, after we had discussed, I proposed that we retreat as members of council and talk to one another. Leave politics behind, leave constituencies behind, talk. So we sat back and had a conversation. It's at this point that we came up with a common plan as council. So my 2 points while I was in council, I did research on behalf of council and presented a full-fledged paper. I will publish it sometime. And the other one was encouraging conversation amongst ourselves, off the record. Now, when I was out of council and there was a crisis, which is again a matter of public notoriety, we tried having dialogue, and I tried calling as many council members as possible, but at that period it was very difficult. What did I do? I filed a petition E267, which essentially assisted in interpreting the Act properly, Section 15, the organs of the society, and how we can move forward. Actually, these elections we're having now, in the branch chairs caucus that is now leading LSK in the interim, is as a result of that hard work that we put together with my colleague Cohen, together with my colleague Eric Theuri. Therefore, it is a practical example of what we did, whether in council or out of council, whether in season or out of season. We are available to assist LSK come up with a decision, a way where we can continually operate and serve members, especially in terms of the Twin Towers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Deborah.
Thank you. In my experience as a company secretary, I have sat in a board where we are highly regulated, and I experienced a situation where we went through a corporate governance audit by a regulator, and I mean, you will likely find challenges in an organization. But in this particular organization, because of lack of corporate governance structures or people failing to observe the corporate governance principles, there had been an issue. So we were being faced with a fine, a hefty fine. And when the report from the regulator came, I was the go-between between the regulator and the board. Obviously, no board wants to be caught in such a situation. And the management also will want to say that we are not the ones who caused this. So how did I manage this situation? As the advisor to the board, I had to be the go-between and the center of these three different arms: the management, the regulator, and the board. And despite the fact that all three of them had different positions regarding that report, I had to be neutral because there were issues that were identified, and I had to advise the board that the best way forward was not to defend ourselves where there was evidence, but to ensure that we implemented. Where we had evidence, we pushed back. But what did this do? The board then came to the realization that there was a problem. And within 6 months of that report, out of 13 exceptions, I cleared 12 of them. There's one pending. I'm still pushing for it. How do I manage crisis? I build consensus. Back to LSK, how will this be useful? We've seen that consensus within a council is the best way to manage a crisis. We've seen that in the example of Justice Muita's judgment. The court, we went back to the court because we failed. Our internal processes failed to build consensus and to resolve crisis. We went to the court, and what did the court do? The court assisted us to build consensus. And that is why today you have the branch caucus. That is building consensus. And that is what I do in a situation of crisis. I assess the crisis, and I try as much as possible to be the voice of reason amidst the crisis. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, contestants. Now, the position of Vice President is often downplayed, yet it is a very critical and important position. What will your role be if elected to office? Start with you, Deborah. What's the role of the VP?
One of the roles of the Vice President is finance. They sit in the Finance Committee. And this is a major one. Aside from being deputizing the president, the finance position and responsibility tends to elicit the most attention. I believe that as the chair of the Finance Committee, the Vice President needs to ensure that there is accountability. That has been talked about. I will not delve into that. And transparency. Those are the two key ingredients. And in addition to that, I believe that person must have some knowledge and be able, for instance, to analyze accounts. Yes, I know we are lawyers, but it helps to be diverse. Having worked in the financial sector, I'm able to analyze accounts. And then you will go to members and you're able to tell members the truth of what is contained in those accounts. Because members might not be versed with that kind of knowledge of analyzing accounts. But if you have that knowledge, and I believe as lawyers, we need to expand our horizon. I have done that. So that position is very critical. And you make sure that the Finance Committee is properly running and is functional. With that, then you regain the confidence of the members. Thank you.
Thank you, Kusana.
It's now working. The role of the Vice President is not properly defined in statute. The role of the Vice President basically is to deputize the President. Therefore, the Vice President needs to have consensus before even meeting with council members and discuss the common plan that the President has. to ensure that in these 2 years, this president wants to attain this as his agenda, and as the vice president, you support that agenda and or contribute towards strengthening it. Now, over and above deputizing the president, the vice president has customarily been the convener of the Staff Budget and Finance Committee, which deals with issues of staff members, together with budgets of LSK, together with analyzing just from the outset how LSK is being run financially as a financially viable institution. During Harriet Chigai's term, that was changed somehow, where the vice president was not the convener of that committee. So it is not as in cast in stone that the vice president shall be the convener of that committee. But if appointed to do that work, then the vice president shall ensure that issues of human resource in terms of staffing, issues of finances in terms of budgeting and expenditure, and ensuring that LSK runs within its lane. That is another function of the vice president. And finally, Vice President Emeritus Kamende has come up with a third limb of welfare, which, if well, handled, it can be another major function of the vice president to ensure that the welfare of the members is a province that this office adequately takes care of. Therefore, although not cast in stone, although not cast in statute, it is something that by custom we can agree that this is the function and this is what needs to be done. That is what I can say for now.
David, thank you, Ambusala. Over to you, David. I keep calling you David. Apologies.
I must also admit that the Act has not laid down the roles of the Vice President, but it's an office that requires some issues who can advise in terms of bridging the gap between the President and also Council members, also the staff, as my colleague has alluded to. The Vice President, having also an agenda, has a responsibility to persuade the Council members to adopt what he or she feels is of profit to our membership. Equally, the Vice President must be able to financially advise, financially be able to control what is wasteful. I mean, this is where accountability comes in. I noticed that in our council, the council that, as I realized that the Vice President signs checks. I realized that she's one of the signatories of the council, the finances that are used by the membership. So it's a serious position where you have to temper between how it's a give and take situation. Lucky enough, Madam Deborah, for me, I've done CPA, concluded CPA. If it requires some finance knowledge, it is there for the taking. So I think much as we saw Mr. Kusala, our Vice President Emeritus, seated next to me, I found that she really walked this country, the breadth of this country, on matters welfare. Our departed brothers and sisters, you could see issues of social responsibility. I think that is something that, as a board, when you sit in the board, you can decide deliberately, because that position is also something you can design by design to encourage the Vice President like it is in the normal politics. I think that would be all.
Thank you, David. Faith?
So, first of all, I agree with my colleagues. It's not clearly defined under law, apart from deputizing the president. But the vice president's position, traditionally, I would say, offers the opportunity to what I would call as the trinity of a better LSK. One is sitting as the chair of the Staff and Finance Committee. You have the opportunity to set in structures to ensure financial accountability and transparency. 2, as even mentioned before, the former Vice President, Caroline Kamende, she has established the element of welfare, which I will put under member services. That seat offers you the opportunity to set in also further structures so that we can also lead to economic empowerment and social empowerment of our members. And 3, and most also quite important, is a well-functioning secretariat. A motivated staff, staff who are well paid, they're paid on time, their roles are clear, and they also have targets so that we ensure that our members are served and are served well. Sitting as the staff and finance chairperson, she can represent also the complaints or grievances of the members. Apart from the CEO, her sitting in that seat, she's also the same person who is responsible when there's an element of disciplinary matters that have been tabled. It comes before the Staff and Finance Committee. So I would say the position of Vice President, yes, is important, is quite powerful, because it brings the ethos for the trinity of a better LSK.
Thank you very much, delegates. We now need to move to matters practice. A good number of members of the society are engaged in private practice, and we have a few questions for you. We are going to have it answered in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4. So our first question to you on the issue of practice is: COVID brought about its new dispensation. We now have the e-filing. We now have the virtual hearings. Could you first and foremost tell us if you are aware of any challenges with the e-filing, and what solutions do you propose? That is A. And B, on the same issue of virtual courts, you realize that although virtual hearing has been introduced, there are no facilities for advocates whenever they are attending a court virtually and then proceeding to a physical hearing. So that if you travel to some outpost station, maybe even Nairobi, you have to sit in a restaurant to log in for the call-over to be done before you actually walk into the physical court. We are aware that it will be a teamwork decision, but what is your proposal on the way forward? So we'll start with you.
So yes, I am aware that there are challenges with the e-filing system. You have to sometimes send your clerk to prompt that your matters are filed. Even simple letters, it can take quite a while before anyone receives or takes action. And I know there have been discussions with the judiciary, but still we are still a long way off. For me, this COVID period has taught us something. E-filing is here to stay. From the deliberations we've had with the judiciary, e-filing is here to stay. The challenges that they have is finances, is how to, because they are trying to put up their own e-system instead of hiring from outside, which will, from an international company, which will cost them more. So what can we do as a law society? For me is to still lobby and push that we have more administrators to man, because some of these challenges that we have more courts that have been opened. So you expect you're filing your documents, but there's no one to receive them. There's no administrative clerks there. So we need to still push and negotiate and work with the judiciary, and also training of how to handle such on the judicial staff who are there. So I think we can partner together, the law society and judiciary, because the reality of the matter is the e-filing system is here to stay. But even where it fails, I think we can also discuss with the judiciary, let's have an hybrid system. Where it's not working, let's move in with the physical and see what goes where, because COVID is also here with us, so we have to understand also their fears, but at the same time, we want our matters to move as advocates who are practicing. next is the virtual hearing. I remember one of our meetings, Council Member Riziki proposed that we have the Huduma centers also available to advocates, and a small section can be set up for advocates and also members of the public, where the judiciary does not have a proper setup. I think we can work our way forward, because I saw that being implemented last week, trying to partner to have some Huduma centers set aside for members of the public, but we can also have it for advocates such that you can log in online for a session. And also some of our lounges that are there, I think this is the opportunity also where fundraising comes in. Rule of law is imperative for members of the public, not only for advocates. So if we can have some of our lodges equipped, and we can work with donors, various donors, to be able to support, because it falls clearly in line with the mandate of the rule of law. I've had the opportunity to work with donors like Ford Foundation that have supported us as Feeder Kenya in such instances, and I think that's something we can explore.
Thank you. David, over to you.
Yes, I agree that we have had challenges with regard to e-filings and virtual hearings. And majority of us were not trained in those spheres of technology. It was a struggle, I must admit. But I think we need to move fast. I noticed that in the last year there were CBD trainings for in line with the e-filings and others. We need to encourage training of our members on issues of e-filing. Then I happen to be lucky to be in the committee for CUC in Nakuru, and we are lucky also to have a judge who is conscious of those. What we did intentionally in Nakuru when the court was being built was to be part of the process, and we had to have our own lobby, our own interview room for our clients, so that once now an advocate may wish to have some private area to conduct a virtual hearing, you can easily sneak there and do a virtual hearing. E-filing, what we did was to encourage a particular specific manpower earmarked by the judiciary to oversee, like an administrator, because we send a lot of documents. Most of those documents are never received. You continue calling, you continue sending your clerks to court. So I would suggest that once the council is constituted, we have a specific committee that would go ahead to deal specifically with this particular issue of e-filing and virtual hearing, so that it is an issue that now will be taken up with the judiciary from the top, from our own council. We put pressure until we get proper service for it. I agree, there are those courts that you cannot do e-filing. There are no, sometimes you might have internet problems. But it is high time that, as my colleague says, we try and see how funding can be available. Either the judiciary be pushed to put technology there, so that we can be able to carry that. So I agree that it's something new, and it's something that we need to put effort in, as much as we have these other committees. We have manpower for it. We have had our own problems with virtual meetings from Nairobi, where you log in, you don't vote, you don't do nothing. So it is with us. It is time that we need to actualize technology within the LSK.
Yes. I filed a certificate of urgency, and 4 days later, it was nowhere to be found. The matter was marked for mention. When we appeared in court virtually, the court did not have the file, leave alone the application. So that is just an archetype of the problems that e-filing presents. And I agree, e-filing is going to be with us for a long time. what is the way forward? How are we going to solve this problem of e-filing, virtual courts, and etc.? This is a province of the branches. And as you can see, most branches using the court users committees have attempted to at least streamline and bring some form of order in the way things are done. Back in my village in Mumias, Butere Mumias, these issues are not there. We file, we hear certificates same day, you know. These are problems that we are finding in the bigger stations like Milimani, maybe Mombasa here. But right there in the village, where there is a WhatsApp group, all advocates who practice in that court are there. You can access court through a link that is posted in that group. If there is a problem, the judicial officers are there, they can address that, okay, this one, the ruling is coming at 2, not now. So if branches through court users committees can be able to assist the LSC, because this is not a province of the national office. This is a province of the branches. And if you look at section 24 of the Act, it provides that the branches shall deal with members' welfare and practice matters. Now, if these issues are impossible to be dealt with, that's now when they are cascaded upwards to the national office for purposes of policy formulation. Therefore, we need to empower branches. We need to encourage branches to take up a very active role in ensuring that practice matters go without any hiccups. Again, one of the twin pillars towards member services is through branches. If you suffocate funds for branches, you are actually ensuring that advocates don't attend court, because the branches are the institutions that are linking the courts and the members through the court users forums. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. My view on e-filing is it's a system challenge, and we have seen that these exist. We have also faced our own system challenges in LSK, but all is not lost. And the solution to these challenges is collaboration. We need to collaborate with the judiciary and support them. Support them, how do we support them? Give them feedback on these challenges. As Akusala mentioned, there's a court users committee, which we are part of, and we will give the feedback. And in addition to that, funding, because systems are expensive, but we can collaborate with institutions which can fund. Even international bar associations can support us. However, we must get to have a good relationship with these associations, and we must also portray a level of professionalism so that they even take us seriously. I'm aware that there was a conversation during the last 2 years with a bar association, an international bar association, and you would be surprised they attended our famous SGM. The conversation ended there. So collaboration it is, both with the judiciary and with external associations that can assist us with funding, because the judiciary might not be able to raise these funds, but we can assist them. And we give the feedback. The processes for giving feedback are there. Finally, the branches and the chapters must be equipped and supported so that they handle these issues at the grassroots level. You know, and one of the things we can do is actually even set up, you know, small rooms. But of course, that depends on funds. If we set up as a branch a room where an advocate can take their hearings when they are in transit, if we do that all over the stations across the country, then we will not have this challenge. The lawyers will be able to handle their matters as they transit across the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidates, I will now give you the last several questions, and we'll do it in the order of 4, 3, 2, 1. Under Section 4 of the Law Society Act, there are specific objects which have been spelled for the society. My question therefore is, and maybe before I put it in an article in the press, it says, today the Law Society of Kenya seems to be careening from one leadership crisis to the next with no end in sight. In recent years, its voice has faded. A series of eminently forgettable chairs simply passed through and slipped back into obscurity. My question is, are you satisfied that we as the Law Society are playing our rightful role in the national arenas as spelled out in Section 4? And if not, what should be done? The second link to that question is, within the Law Society, we've seen a schism between the young and the senior advocates. At one time, the slogan, "Age must fail," was the clarion call. What is your proposal if you are elected to deal with this? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Am I satisfied that we are playing our role in the society as the LSK? The answer is no. I'm not satisfied that we are playing our role. Why? Because we have lost the respect of the society by our conduct. In the previous days, the LSK president would speak and he would be respected. I will not name their names, we all know them. We need to bring that back. If we don't have our house in order, then the public, we become a source of ridicule, so they will not respect us. It all boils down to that, so that we can speak with authority. And it also boils down to the rest of us as members of society. Last year, I'm sure most of us might have actually taken up other professions because we are all embarrassed. And it was collective, because anywhere you went and said you're a lawyer, you would be a source of ridicule. So we need to do that, and we need to regain that position in the society. That brings me to the issue of leadership. I think the root cause of this is because we fail to elect leaders. And I urge our membership, as we are electing our leadership, look at the track record of the leaders. If somebody has not, for lack of a better description, even been a chairperson of a cattle dip in their village, then there's no way they can convince us that they can be a leader in an elite society like the legal profession. Interrogate the past record. In various spheres, you might find somebody has even been a leader in church, but they need to have led. They need to be a leader in their personal capacity. Second question, the division between the young and senior advocates. I think the solution lies in the Young Lawyers Committee. I sat in the Young Lawyers Committee, and we reviewed the challenges that we had. But right now, at the time we did not have this division, and it's really becoming actually more strained. What is the solution? We have various factions, Okoa, Brave Nuba, all of them. We need to get all these leaders of these factions to actually sit in that committee, in the Young Lawyers Committee, so that they can help us to diagnose what the challenge of the young lawyers actually is, so that the committee will not just be a functional committee discharging duties. It will be a task force. And at the end of it, they will give us a report that will tell us exactly what is ailing our young lawyers. And with that report, we will implement. And that will be a form of collaboration. We'll have a report, we'll live up to what they're expecting, but we'll also be able to tell them what is possible and what is not possible. A task force. Get these leaders together. Get them in a committee. Let them work.
Thank you. Akusala, over to you. Your mic seems to be here. You can press it.
Yeah. It's time. Let me use this one. All right. Indeed, one of the major problems we've had is the presidents that are sitting have always been avoided by the incoming council for one reason or the other. I think an outgoing president is a very, very important cog in ensuring that there is some form of continuity and there is some secret in how to, avoid those pitfalls. By avoiding an outgoing president, the incoming president makes a fundamental mistake, and that can be an error in judgment in itself. I served with Mr. Allen Gishuki And contrary to public opinion, Allen Gishuki is one of the most passionate presidents LSK will ever have, especially in terms of practice. Now, what new thing? Because I know President Harvey was coming in with the issue of public investigation and rule of law. You know, when a new president is coming with an idea, the outgoing president can leak to him a secret that, look, the idea you're having is good, but don't forget about this. Because if you are dealing with the issue of PIL and legal aid, and together with the rule of law, and you forget member services, which the former president was passionate about and perhaps did not take too much interest in the other one, that creates a problem. Therefore, I think a proper system of handing over between presidents need to be done, between councils as well. Number two, you're talking about the age problem between the young and the senior advocates. One of the major reasons why I would ask members of the society to vote for me is I'm in between. I'm in between. I just the other day I was a young lawyer, like 2 years ago. Right now I'm looking ahead. Very soon I'll be a senior lawyer. I do not want to antagonize the home that I've been occupying yesterday. I do not want to ruin where I am going. Therefore, it is very important for members to trust someone of my kind, because this is where the healing will come from. The president has over 15 years in practice. I have 8. We can have an LSK that is all inclusive of young and senior advocates, and this perhaps is going to be the turning point of the senior and lawyer divide, a senior and young lawyer divide. Now, let us talk about the role of LSK under Section 4. We are talking about 2 very important pillars, the rule of law and member services. LSK has been doing one or the other in the last 4 years. Either member services are accentuated or the rule of law is accentuated. Please don't hit that cup, it will break. Yes. Yes, as I finish, LSK's role in PIL has diminished in the last 2 years, especially because we did not properly implement the PIL code that we passed as members. It's time to make sure that it passes. And also member services, it's important branches be funded and be facilitated. We'll talk more about this.
Thank you. Let's move over to David.
Yes, the question on whether we are leading, I can say yes and no. The reason I say yes is because the council that is outgoing has done exceptionally well in the issue of the litigating on matters public interest. From the BBI thing to the rule of law in the Miguna case and all that. They have done exceptionally well. What I would suggest on this particular, for this particular case is also incorporate and encourage out of Nairobi stations to carry on with this litigation. There are other public litigations out there. Pay them. I was in another wall and I saw a young lawyer fighting out about somebody taking their briefs because you send it to the seniors. Let's have a mix and match that we also grow up our young colleagues. Now, with regard to the young bench and the older bench, I think if we look at Section 4, there is the issue of training of lawyers. I don't know whether it is now training the trainer to train the lawyer. Because you remember when we were in law school, the code of the ethics that we were being trained. I remember my lecturer would say, lawyers don't live in Eastlands. Lawyers must work to live here. The reason was, that's how you can gain respect from the persons you are representing. I know we are many, but we have to learn to be trained. We have to accept to be led. And also, as seniors must give way to young lawyers. We must develop them. I was shocked the other day that a colleague of ours has an office, but the person who he goes to court with is a clerk, never carries the student who is supposed to be. When will they learn how to share with you a podium in court? When will they learn how you are going to have lunch? When will they share how you are treating clients? In fact, that has been a letdown, because training young lawyers requires an all-inclusive training, meaning that they must be present with you. I think it is time those supervisors who come to our offices to look at these young lawyers' training insist on what they have done. Sit together with the counsel who has taken the pupil and the pupil, such that once they get out of there, they are polished. So I think, thank you. Let me leave it there.
Thank you, David. Faith, yes.
I would like to say, with regards to rule of law, one thing that is stalling in this council, without a doubt, was rule of law and public interest litigation. Without a doubt, led by the President and the committee which I chaired, public interest litigation, I would say without a doubt you saw the work that we did. We ensured that advocates were able to travel the essential services card and further negotiated with the government and lobbied until lawyers were gazetted as essential service providers. So PIL, and there will be so many cases I don't need to say much about, it's in public notoriety. This was a darling also of the President, and we must give credence where credence is due. PIL was stalling. And even something that has been raised with regards to the branches, I'd like to say, I acknowledge first of all my committee that comprised mostly of young lawyers and middle bar lawyers. And the policy that we had was to combine especially complex matters, a senior with a young lawyer. Why? We wanted to also enforce the element of mentorship in the little way we could, so that the next time a younger lawyer can handle a complex matter without the presence of a senior. And that is something that we implemented. And with regards to the branches, my committee ensured that we did a training for branches, and it's through that training that we are trying to build. I would like to say that was a brainchild of the devolution chair, Mr. Bernard. He was pushing that we need to have branches now taking more PIL matters, and we tried to do that. We had training of branches coordinated by the chairs to ensure that matters don't have to come all to the national office. We'd have the branches taking up more PIL, because also practice matters are part of their mandate. Now, I would say yes in terms of PIL, the Law Society did shine, but no in terms of the challenges that we had and that were brought to the fore. And for me, it's an element of governance challenges that we had, and maybe that's what spoiled the element of the voice of the Law Society of Kenya, because give credence to the President, he was always first to stand and raise issues when the government was going out of hand. He tried always raising concern when things were going out of hand, until he took a turn on a different direction. So yes, the Law Society can do better in terms of what is our role, because I know apart from even advising the government, we have also other matters that we didn't do well, so in terms of member services, because this was the COVID period, and there were challenges because we were also trying to navigate into a system now. How do we reach out to our members as much as possible? We lost a lot of members. We were not able to take care of every single member. The split between seniors and juniors. Let me finish this one. I've been the one always finishing on time. I'm only the one who has been finishing on time. For me, split between juniors and seniors, I feel is because we have ceased to have a level of collegiality and respect. And I think that can be enforced by having more joint forums with seniors and juniors, so that juniors also learn that there's something you can learn from seniors, and there's definitely something that our seniors can learn from our juniors. By having more opportunities to meet together and share, then we learn, we are in a less stressful element of being in court or being adversaries, that we can now find a bonding moment and we grow together. And I think for me that would be the step towards the right direction to sort of healing this gap that has grown too much. Thank you.
I only allowed you because I realized you're the only one who has been using an average of 2 minutes 48 seconds. Thank you very much, candidates. Nice pitching, and I think many of our members are already finding it easy. Now we are going to the last part of this session, which is the crossfire. Now in the crossfire, we are going to give each one of you a chance to throw a question at your rival. The rival in turn will have 3 minutes to answer. A rival of your choice, that is within the vice president's candidates. So we'll begin with Faith. Whom do you want to ask a question? I've ambushed you.
Yes, yes.
Be ready in season and out of season. Yeah, take note of the rules, no personal attacks. If you veer off the rules, we will stop you.
If you veer off the rules.
So Faith, can we have, your mic is not on, eh?
Maybe I would ask this question to Akusala. He's my friend. So, with regards to the Law Society, you said you made an intervention. I hope I'm not veering off. You will guide. You said you made an intervention when you felt that the organization, the Law Society, was going in the wrong direction. Was it the same intervention when you were part and parcel of an illegal meeting, or which intervention? Maybe you'd clarify. One of the meetings that was held to be in contempt of court, according to the ruling of Justice Mrima.
Thank you.
Now, the intervention I made, remember I attended the impugned SGM, and in that SGM I had only one agenda. Remember, we had done a countdown, number of times when we are asking council, make sure that the services at LSK are not interrupted. Please make sure we have practicing certificates for advocates, make sure that our staff members are paid, ensure that at least the bare minimum of operations are going on. And we gave them a countdown, day by day, giving them a reminder of that council, the COVID council. Then at a particular time, an SGM was called. It's at that SGM that I moved a motion to remove the entire council. Yes, I attended the impugned SGM because it was subject to the petition, a different petition that was consolidated. And the question we were asking is, there is no need to remove half a council because they have paralyzed the operations of LSK. Remove the entire council. Let us come up with a formal caretaker council that will help LSK move. Unfortunately, under dubious circumstances, that motion was not admitted, and the meeting went on, and I exited the meeting having found that my value therein had been obscured. But the best that would have happened in that meeting was to remove the entire council and the members to, of course, appoint people who would take over a transitional period. Number two, we also noted upon attending that there were issues as to the convening of that meeting. Number one, the issue of quorum. Number two, the issue of notice. So having found that those issues again were coming out, we withdrew very fast. So that was the first step. Now when that step did not work, we ran direct to the only place where we know how to do things, where there is some degree of justice, that is in court. And that is how the COVID Council found itself out. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, you've answered.
Thank you, Faith.
Thank you.
I want to ask the nearest to me, that is Faith. Faith, you just finished serving this term. And I wanted you to assist in the example, shed a little bit of light with regard to whether it was necessary to have an audit, and why was the fire? Why was there that lack of cooperation from council members? What was hailing you members? Maybe it is a chance for you to tell us.
So thank you. Thank you for that. Dear members, I want to address our beloved members of this society. The audit was never an issue. Why? Because all council members agreed to the audit. And in fact, we even expanded the parameters of that audit, arising from an internal audit that was done, chaired by the audit, under the audit committee by George Omwanza, who was the chairperson. And based on that, the council expanded the audit. So at the point of appointment of an audit, it was very clear that there were serious corporate governance challenges. An element of conflict of interest was disclosed to the council members. And the council members, by virtue of that, made a decision to expand, to open up for other audit firms to apply, apart from the one firm, Pakarando, because one of the council members had declared a conflict of interest. And it is therefore known under corporate governance principles, if you have a conflict of interest, you cannot take part in the decision-making or the discussion of that audit firm. And thereafter, based on the recommendation of the audit committee to the council of the shortlisted audit firms, KPMG was appointed to carry out the audit. And that was the position until they were informed not to conduct the audit otherwise. So for me, there was never an issue of audit. Audit is paramount. The members had sanctioned for there to be an audit and also a forensic audit, which we had expanded on the same. So for all of us, and something that I want to clarify, I was not part of the council in 2018 to 2020, which is the exact council that is under scrutiny, under the forensic audit. So I have nothing to lose or nothing to gain with regards to if that audit was conducted. And for the record, all council members were for the audit. Thank you. I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you very much. Let's move over to Salman. Your mic.
Yes. I would have asked my colleague the question about golden gate scandal. But that will leave my colleague without an opportunity at least to address the members. Apart from corporate governance, Deborah, what is this thing about LSK that you are really passionate about, apart from corporate governance? In the event that we do what is needful, that upon election, there is a team that trains the new council on corporate governance and they grasp everything. What is this new thing that you have for LSK? Yes.
Thank you, Akusala. Thank you, Akusala. What do I have other than corporate governance? I am a leader. I have been tried and tested. In what spheres, you might ask? In my current position, I am a leader. I am senior management. Where else? I have been a president of a Rotary Club. After I served as a Rotary Club president, I was elevated to what is called an assistant governor, which takes care of 4 different clubs. Aside from my leadership record, I can go on about that. What am I passionate about? I think the LSK serves a very important role in protecting the rule of law. And I'm very passionate about that. And why have I brought myself here? Because I think I have the requisite qualities that will allow me to get into that position and speak with authority because, one, I am knowledgeable on various spheres of the law, in my various areas of practice, which are very diverse. I have a bird's eye view, so my understanding is not limited to one area of the law. I am diverse, so I understand. I have a strong grasp of legal issues. Second, I am able to confidently engage on various issues. This requires a level of maturity and sobriety. That is what I bring to the X. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Now your turn. No feeling with yourself.
No. I will save Mr. Kusala. My question goes to Faith. Having served, I've heard you speak about corporate governance. Having served in the last council and having observed the challenges that you faced while you were there, kindly share with us. You said you sat there and you held a certain position. What we have seen out here as members is a fractured council. Kindly share with us what role you played in building consensus.
Thank you. Apart from responding to my worthy opponent, Deborah, what I would say, dear members, is that the role I played in all of this was, one, I attended all the interventions by seniors. We had the first intervention by Senior Counsel or Haga, which all the 9 council members attended with the aim of trying to resolve this issue. And mind you, I was still on maternity leave, but my love for the society is greater than my personal interests. We attended one chaired by the former emeritus, Chief Justice William Mutunga, which also we attended in an aim of trying to resolve these issues. We attended by Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir, which he called us. So I attended all mediation sessions which were created, over 5, which seniors called us together with an aim of trying to resolve these concerns and the issues. And our aim was to set aside what was our personal interest. Whatever interest anyone had, it was very clear that the society came first, and we aimed to try and resolve it. Now, as a council member, all I could do is try my best to ensure that we come into consensus. And further on corporate governance principle, I respected, because I respected the element of confidentiality, irrespective of all the times that I was subjected to cyberbullying on the various social media. I never leaked any email, any resolution of council. I kept to the element of confidentiality. Further, we tried our best to try and reach out in all interventions. So my position was limited in what I could do. Why am I coming back to members? It's because I'm not vying only on a Nairobi representative position. I'm vying the position of Vice President. The Vice President has a good platform to act as a bridge between the President and the Council. The Vice President can guide, can support, can also advise the President on what way forward. And for me, I think the Vice President was instrumental and could have helped resolve the challenges that we're having. I'm not saying entirely the Vice President could have done everything, but I felt for me, the Vice President, a lot of us would come to the Vice President for advice and support. And I don't know how the deliberations was with the top and the Vice President, but for me, I feel that position offers that platform. Thank you, members.
Distinguished contestants and members, we beg to keep the program a little bit. We've overshot on time, so we will skip on the plenary, but we do confirm that the questions we asked were asking from members, but because we have the presentation debate as well, we beg to skip on that. Many things we've listened to you, and we'd like to give you one opportunity to pitch that one thing that you'd like members to remember? And we'll start with Deborah.
Thank you. You know, the Bible says the last shall be first. So I'm very happy about that. Members of the Law Society, I would just like to tell you that I am dependable and I am consistent. I have a leadership record in the various spheres of practice that I have been. I am diverse. And I come with a level of clear understanding of various legal matters and maturity and sobriety. And this is what we need. The last 2 years have been tumultuous, but I look at it positively because it's a lesson for us. It's a wake-up call, members of the bar. The time is ripe for us to regain the glory of the Law Society of Kenya. Choose leaders who have a track record. Choose leaders who have proven in their various spheres that they can build consensus. Let it not be that my leader comes from a particular community. My leader is a litigation lawyer. My leader is this. My leader is my friend. No. Interrogate their leadership record. And once you do that, we will get the right crop of leaders. Finally, I remind you, corporate governance. Corporate governance principles: transparency, accountability, fairness, risk management, independence, and social responsibility. This is what all of us, 4 contestants, have talked to you about today. Please remember that and choose the person who is best placed to lead this conversation and lead in the vice president position. I request you to remember that I am the best place. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. I get the name right.
But the mic goes to our
That's fine. Yeah. The moment you point at that one, it works. Now, members of the Law Society of Kenya, we have been called to serve at a time of maximum danger when our rights as advocates are under threat. More so, the rights and well-being of our people, the Kenyans at large, are actually under threat, especially because this is an electioneering year. It is time, that is our mantra. It's time to make sure LSK is colorful and vibrant enough to stand for its members and to stand for the public. Because if members are to elect persons who have a colorless track record, members who will willingly run when the house goes on fire, then LSK will not assist in any way when the danger actually crystallizes. I stand before you as a man of a proven track record, having worked tirelessly hard, coming up with structures and policies. A man who has not run in the midst of danger, but instead faced it head on to protect the members of LSK. I have offered myself as a living sacrifice, having been incarcerated several times by police officers when advocates' rights to practice was under threat, and indeed came back with the lion's head with the victory that advocates have a right to practice. It is true that we may not have a very colorful past, but that is not where we are looking at. We are looking at where we are headed. And where we are headed right now, we need a very strong and vibrant Law Society of Kenya. Yes. Last point. when we are talking about experience in the top leadership positions, especially in terms of LSK, this is my passionate appeal. Please, members, take note that if there is no ability to act as president or vice president, as proved by a track record already manifest, then we are running a risk of finding ourselves in the same situation we were 2 years ago. Vote for Akusala, vote for progress. To dare is to progress. It's time.
Thank you, Akusala. David, your last word.
Members of the society, present and listening as all is golden. We have tried the previous council, it failed. We have woken because our society is weak. It is asking for leadership. Leadership is what I want to give to the society. We need to go back to that particular area that all talk about respect. We put a lot of respect in ourselves, we have no chance of being respected by the members of the party. It is time to reinvent the wheel. And that wheel can only be reinvented if we all understand where the Law Society has come from and guide it to the future. I must say that of the three of my worthy opponents, very worthy indeed, I ask them, give me each of you your votes, because it is time that we go back to where we started. Now, finally, this is an electioneering year. We need a strong council. We need people who can guide the rule of law. We have done before. I've done it as the Law Society, VLS Law Society Nakuru, Rift Valley. I'm tested. I'm capable. I'm willing. In fact, I'm rehearsing to have this particular position because I think it is time we made the Law Society great again.
Dear members, I have faith in a better society. I'm offering myself to be your vice president because I have had the opportunity to serve in other positions before and have been able to serve well. I served in the FIDA Council under Dr. Ruth Aura and we worked well together. I served as a secretary of the board of FIDA under Josephine Mongari and we worked well. I served under Harvey's council and we started well, and at some point I had to stand firm and fair because I believed in the principles of doing what was right. And I stand firm to those principles of the people who mentored me and have grown me to the person that I have been. I have sat in previous boards and I know how matters are handled and I know how decisions are made. And I've respected that until things took a turn for the worse. I come to you seeking this position because I am passionate about our society. I want, if I'm granted that opportunity, to serve you and ensure that there is accountability and transparency of your service of our monies at the Law Society of Kenya, to ensure that member services are restored and we raise the bar higher, and to support our branches so we ensure that they are well functioning and our members feel that the Law Society is closer to home. I have faith in a better society and I'm asking you to have faith for a better society. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith, and thank you, protesters, for conducting yourself as per the rules and even for coming for the debate. And thank you members for tuning in and staying on. We really appreciate it. We are now hand over to the Chief Moderator. Thank you very much to the vice presidential candidates, each of you. Thank you for abiding by the rules and for sitting with us here, for answering very eloquently. I give you my thanks. Also thank you to the moderators, Dr. Thank you very much for conducting this session very properly. And to our my name is Jao. I'm going to be inviting the next moderator, that is Dr. Deche and Mr. Joe Welo. Candidates, as we transition, I would like to invite the presidential candidates in accordance to the ballots that were taken before. Mr. Matthew Nyabena, you are number 1. Mr. Omwanza, you are number 2. Mr. Theory, number 3. Caroline, you're number 4, and Yetish, you're number 5. You sit in accordance to your seats. This is number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, and then number 5.
Number 1 is here.
Sorry, one here.
No.
4. And then 5.
You really want to grab the best. Somebody get me some water. Really, the issue alone, eh? Okay. For your jacket. That jacket is now.
Are you number 5?
Right. Yes, I am number 5.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we had been informed before, this session was supposed to include the JSC representatives, the candidates for the female representative to the JSC, but because of time, we were not able to include them today. However, we'll be giving them a chance to increase the public or members of the Law Society present here today, and we'll be giving each of them 2 minutes to just address the members. Tell us your agenda and how you went to, how your agenda and basically your business that you present to bring to the table. Please. JSC members, kindly, you can stand up. The candidates vying, kindly stand up so that you can keep to the time.
reserved. My name is Anna Cherono Konuche, an aspirant for the female representative in the Judicial Service Commission. Briefly, I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, 18 years standing, currently work at the Kenya School of Law, Assistant Director in charge of the Advocates Training Program. I have practiced law, I still do. I have worked as a corporation secretary, and I've also been a lecturer. I bring to the Judicial Service Commission experience in policy making, experience in setting strategies for an organization, experience in oversight, because that is what I do, experience in human resource, because the Judicial Service Commission is a human resource powerhouse. Things to do with firing, hiring, discipline, those are things I do with every day. Experience in constitutionalism, because I have taught that as well. So my urge to you is vote for me. We can engage further. My pillars are independence, integrity, inclusiveness, access to justice, and welfare for advocates and judicial officers. Because when the bench sneezes, the bar catches a cold. We need to look after each other as the bar and the bench. Thank you very much. Anna Konuche for a JSC's female representative.
The conveners of this grand debate, senior colleagues in the House, my peers, young lawyers, members of the press, good afternoon. My name is Christine Kipsang. I'm vying for the LSK, female representative to the JSC. And as we all know, I've served in the branch that is the Coast Branch and the chapter Mombasa Law Society for the last 15 years. I've served you as a Secretary General, Treasurer, General Member, and recently as the Vice Chairperson of this great society. From the leadership positions I've held, I have learned many insights on the issue of accountability, honesty, integrity, independence, and the issue of transparency. I go to the JSC with one thing in mind, that I'm going to serve a great society. I have over 19,000 members behind me. You will give me your comments, your concerns, your views, your feedback on the issue of administration of justice. I have been trained as a mediator to be a good listener. I have listened to your issues at the branch level. I have served in the court users committee, in the bar bench committee, in the mediation committee, and even in the family committee. I'm ready to listen to your views so that we can remove the bottleneck that make the administration and access of justice in this country to be a pain, not only to lawyers and even to the court users that come daily in contact with our court system and our judicial system. I ask for your vote because I stand on three pillars of LSK members' services, accountability, judicial independence and rule of law, and access to justice. Thank you very much.
To the chair of the LSK Mombasa branch, colleagues, good afternoon. I'm trying to settle into this humidity, Mombasa humidity, My name is Jacqueline Ngutia. I am an advocate. I work with the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, based at the regional office in Kisumu. My work involves litigation, issuing policy advisory, and undertaking public awareness. I put in my papers to represent you to the Judicial Service Commission because I engage with the judiciary in three folds. One, as a litigating counsel. Two, as a person who offers mediation services under the court annexed mediation, though when I put in my papers, I told the deputy registrar to stop assigning me matters. And three, I sit in a number of court users committee. So I'm able then to identify the challenges that the JSC can deal with on matters administration of justice. My agenda is pegged on my personal experience and that of other members across the country. I understand when I'm not able to proceed because the judge has on very short notice decided to go on official duties. I understand when I'm not able to, when lawyers are not able to proceed because of infrastructural issues around EST systems. I understand when you can no longer predict your case, because as lawyers we know whether you have a good case or a bad case, but because of corruption and internal and external influence over judges and magistrates, I do understand where you come from. My agenda is threefold. One, let us not engage JSC when you're looking for jobs only, because that is the only time lawyers engage JSC, when you're applying or when you're writing recommendation letters to your colleagues. And the other aspect is when we have complaints against judges and magistrates. I had an opportunity to review the strategic plan. We were not involved in its development. So I want us to have a very strong complaints management system, and I'm happy that the Supreme Court on Friday affirmed that the JSC requires a very strong complaints management system. And number three, we need equitable distribution of courts and court services. All Kenyans are deserving of court services across the country. And when we strengthen the JSC by having strong systems and policies, that is the only way we can ensure that administration of justice in Kenya is achieved, and we should not just look at JSC as an employer or a disciplinarian. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, candidates for the JSC panel. Now I will go straight to introducing our panel of moderators. I'm joined here by very distinguished members of this society, the Mombasa Society. And first go with Mercy Beche, who is a panelist today. She's an advocate for 29 years. She is a PhD holder from University of Nairobi, and an LLM holder from the University of London. She took her LLB at the University of Nairobi. She's the immediate former vice chair and acting chair of JSC, that is the Judicial Service Commission. She's the consultant on rule of law, sexual and gender-based violence, and property law and gender. She's a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, the law faculty. She teaches research methodology, gender justice, and property law. She has consulted for the Commonwealth, the UNODC, the ELS, on rule of law, SGBV, and restorative justice. She is also married. She has also been married for 6 years and is a mother of 3 sons, 23, 20, and 14 years old. The next panelist is Mr. Joe Siloma, who has been in practice for the last 29 years as well. From inside information, we were classmates. He's the managing partner at Koto Associates. He has served as a court representative for 2 terms, that is between the year 2005 and 2007. He was moderator for the presidential debate in the year 2019. He is the immediate past chairman and past chairman of Mombasa Advocate Welfare Association. We also have before you our timekeeper. He is called Kevin Mulpini. He is a law student at the University of Nairobi, and
that is just testament on how inclusive the Mombasa Law Society is. My name is Sherry Oyeru, and I'll be your chief moderator. Thank you.
Good afternoon, contestants. You have no idea how nice it feels to just sit here and ask you questions without being a candidate. I am excited and delighted to do that. I'll just start with a few housekeeping rules. The rules remain the same. If you are listening, those are the rules. If you have any questions on them, if you want to be refreshed on the same, you can let us know. But this is how we are going to carry out these debates. We will have the first round, we will give you 3 minutes, and kindly adhere to the time because this is not our premises. We are squatting as it were. No, we are licensees. And as soon as the license expires, you have to leave. So we are going to give you 3 minutes each in the order with which you balloted. Don't wonder, people from the same community are sitting together. No, that was purely as a result of the ballot. It is not prearranged. We are going to have you have the 3 minutes. You introduce yourself and just give an overview of your manifesto, your agenda, the best way that you can utilize those 3 minutes. Thereafter, you will have a minute each to react to any of your counterparts' agenda or vision. And of course, at this time, I may emphasize that the pace has been set by the VP candidates, that we are cordial and we are decent, and we are not going to get personal. So remember, as you react, those are the parameters. And then after that, we are going to ask you questions. Each of you will answer the same question now on some four select thematic areas from the mandate of the LSK as drawn up in the statute. Then thereafter, we will have a crossfire session where each of you can shoot a question to any other, again within the rules of decorum and decency. And then after that, we will open it up to the plenary, to the members who are seated here and those who are online. I believe we are clear on that. And without further much ado, no, something else that I realized, just some brief instructions on how to use this thing. Maybe most of you are seeing it for the first time. When you are talking, you press, yeah? Then this light comes on. When you're done, if you don't turn it off, then your counterpart will not be able to speak. So kindly turn it off thereafter. So Job, please take it up from here so that we start.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to congratulate the candidates who have offered themselves for this position. I think you're coming in at a time when the Law Society is looking to get direction because of what we've had in the last few years. And I believe that each of you has looked at the situation and I believe that they are capable of giving us a fresh direction. I'm going to ask questions under the practice area. And my first question is that Sorry, I jumped the gun, and I think we're losing a very serious opportunity. So I think we'll go back and have each one of you introduce yourselves. You have the 3 minutes, as we have indicated, to pitch for yourself, and then we'll go to the reactions. So we start with Nyabena.
Thank you very much, moderators. My name is Martin Nyabena. I'm an advocate of 21 years standing. Privileged to have been the chairman of Mombasa Law Society for 4 years. Privileged to have been the chairman LSK Coast Branch for 4 years. Privileged to have been elected by the other 7 branch chairs to be the chairman of the caucus. I'm also from the background having served as an elder of the Seventh-day Adventist Church since 2012. And I ran from a promise of unity, inclusivity, and involving everyone in the process. I come on the agenda of unity, having run the Mombasa Law Society, which is very united. I ran the branch chairs caucus, which remained united, was recognized by Honorable Judge Mrima. And on the 10th of January, on the eve when the branch chairs caucus, which I chaired, was to take over office, in a mark of sacrifice, I realized that my tenure was going to end on the 18th of February. I handed over to a gracious lady called Linda Kiome. The Law Society right now needs somebody who can sacrifice, who can not look at his agenda alone. I am that person who has come in to bring and unify the society. And how do I unify the society? I recognize one thing. Members are very united. The problem is leadership. When new leadership comes in, there is a kind of infighting that goes on, and when you fight leaders, then there is a problem. I give credit to Honorable Mwai Kibaki in this country. You know, when he took over, there were people who were ready to draw charge sheets against President Moi, but he said no, and he let it be. So likewise, I know there are people now cheering up and saying we have to go and fight the old council and others. I can't do that. I'm a Christian. I look at unifying, I look at unity, I look at sacrifice, I look as an opportunity to serve. Let me add that when I decided to run, I was actually in Mount Kenya. I had not decided. I was standing there and asked myself if I'd given up on the Law Society, but asked myself, Mr. Nyabena, are you going to spend 2 more years thinking and worrying what are the problems that have done the society? And a voice came to me and said, Nyabena, you must go and offer yourself. So I offered myself, being touched in Mount Kenya. And I challenge all these ladies and gentlemen running. I propose that if we are elected with my council, I don't want to take them to Grand Regency, I don't want to take them to Naivasha, I want to take them to Mount Kenya. If they manage to sleep in those tents for 6, 4, 5 days or 7, and they come out of there, I can tell you that the ladies and gentlemen, we went with Mount Kenya, we came out as great friends, we overcame challenges, you have to learn patience, you have to do this. And as testified earlier by my brother Benjamin Njoroge, when we reached Mount Kenya, I was the first one to reach there. But I knew we had a team leader called Benjamin. I stopped, I looked back, I waited for everybody else and said, Benjamin, you led us, let's go to Mount Kenya. I'll give many people opportunities like I did. God bless you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Nyabena. We move to Ombati Omanza.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues. It's a pleasure to be here, to be hosted by the Mombasa Law Society. The Law Society is run for and by members, and it is meant to deliver services to members and to be a voice of excellence, not only for the membership, but for the general public. I have not only be an active participant in the affairs of the society, you cannot call me a bystander. Now, I have thought about the issues that affect the society, and I can summarize them in 4. The first issue is on unity of purpose. We've been able to know or to see that without unity, we are not able to move forward. So that's the first challenge that I've been able to identify. The second issue that I've been able to identify as a challenge to the profession is on the issue of a large and restive young bar, and that is a large constituency now in our society. Between 1 and 7 years, we are about 70% of the profession. So that this specific constituency presents unique challenges that need to be addressed by leadership. The third issue that I wish to, that I've identified as one of the issues that pose a threat to our society is on the issue of outside actors that are either eating into our practice space or are narrowing it down. And lastly is the issue or the challenge of COVID-19 and how it upended our lives and how we move forward. From studies that have been done across the world, it is projected that in the next 5 years, 10 to 20% of our work will be taken by automation and by robots. And so, as we go forward, we must have a leadership that is able to identify these challenges and provide solutions. And that is what I wish to provide in this discussion. and that's why I have offered myself as a candidate. One of the things that I need to do also beyond the challenges that I've identified is to build Gitanga Road. Most of you who have gone to Gitanga Road are able to see that right now there's only one functional toilet, and that is a shame for a society that is 20 members strong. So beyond the issues that we face as a society, as immediate challenges, I would also wish that my council gives a legacy project to this society in terms of a new and state-of-art facilities that are able to address and able to meet the challenges of the future. Thank you. And in terms of service, I have been I've offered service to this society. I've been a pro bono lawyer. In 2017, I was awarded as pro bono lawyer of the year, and therefore I qualify to be the leader of this bar, and I offer my candidature and I request for your vote. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mbati. Next is Theory Eric Jeru. The sitting. It's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please turn off your mic. Thank you. Thank you, God.
Thank you, moderator, and thank you, Mombasa Coast, for hosting us today. My name is Eric Theory, currently chairman of Nairobi branch, the Law Society of Kenya. Previously, I have served this society as a member of council in the year 2014-2016. I've also been a member of the Young Lawyers Committee. I've also served in the Welfare Committee of the Law Society, and I've also been a member of the CPD committee. So my life, besides the practice of law, has been towards contributing to the challenges and the solutions that are facing the Law Society. So what do I promise members in my bid for presidency of the Law Society of Kenya? I stand for a society that is going to make each and every member of us feel included in the affairs of the society, where members of the society, by virtue of our focused society that focuses on the interests and challenges facing the members, feels included in the legal environment, in the legal economy, and therefore they are thriving in their practice. And because we will have a society that will stand for the defense of the rule of law, that the members will feel safe. We have seen threats to our practice. We have seen threats to the judiciary. We have seen threats to the independence of the legal profession. And I will champion the defense of the rule of law to ensure that as we practice, we feel safe in that environment. So ultimately, I envision a society where members would feel engaged, a thriving society, and it is my mission as I run for the office of the Law Society of Kenya to ensure that we are able to eliminate the bottlenecks that stand in our way of practice, and that the rule of law is defended at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my promise to you, and that is the vision for which I seek to be your president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Theory. Next is Daudi Caroline Kamende.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, members. My name is Caroline Kamende Daudi, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I am on my 17th year of practice, having had both domestic and international law practice and experience. In terms of service to the society, in 2018-2020, I served the Law Society and the Nairobi representative. It is during this time that in the history of the Law Society over 74 years that I established the sexual harassment and anti-bullying policy. In 2020-2022, I served the Law Society as the Vice President. It is during my time and my investment that we established hotlines such that members of the Law Society can call in times of distress. It is during my time and my position as the Vice President that I established an endowment fund owing to the many distress calls sent to me by members. And I will go down in the history of this law society of having established structures that protect and defend the practice of law. What do I intend to do? First is to protect the practice of law in Kenya by ensuring that there is a conducive environment for all members of the bar and by protecting the spheres of practice of law. During the last council, we did a lot of memoranda to protect the spheres of the practice of law. Advancement of the rule of law, it has been said here time without number that even amidst the skirmishes, the Law Society of Kenya rose and was hard on the rule of law. I'm happy that I learned from the best in terms of advancement of the rule of law. We held the government and the agencies accountable. Law Society is a statutory council member to the National Council on Administration of Justice. During the COVID-19, we pushed for opening of the courts. I'm glad the talk in the room by the contestants, all of them and everyone who is here, is about accountability and transparency. I have gone down in the history of this country of the Law Society as being the person who raised the curtains of the Law Society on the issue of accountability. What was spoken here in the morning by the VP candidates was all about monies, protection of monies, and accountability. I boast having highlighted that issue in my duration as the Vice President. Above everything, I am the champion of welfare. It has been confirmed here in this, that I introduced another limb of the role of the Vice President, welfare. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I introduced care packages. I took care of all the lawyers in this country. There's no single lawyer who suffered. I reached out to every member. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to continue. Mine is continuity, unlike my colleagues, to continue and raise the bar higher on those tenets that I practice. I have been tried and tested. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last but certainly not least is Ngetich Kipkoech Bernard.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ngetich Kipkoech Bernard. This is my 14th year of practice. I have served as a member of the Rift Valley Law Society for 5 years, 1 as council member, 2 years as vice chair, 2 years as the chair. I have also served as a council member of the national office, upcountry category, for 4 years. I've been a convener for Ethics, Practice and Standards Committee. I have also convened the Devolution Committee. I am, over and above that, an elder of AIC Kenya. I also sponsor the youth and Sunday school. I am also a Sunday school teacher and a self-appointed tea ambassador in this country of Buy Kenya, Rebuild Kenya. What have I done? I am running on a track record of several things, but I would mention 3. I have fought for efficient and effective courts. I have wanted the judicial calendar on seminars, workshops, and colloquia circulated and harmonized as between judicial officers, Judiciary Training Institute, and court users. And I filed the case of Elfish Odirananda against JSC and the CJ. I want courts that are functioning. I want courts in this country and dates given to be predictable and certain. I have protected the independence of individual advocates. When Charles Sena of Narok was arrested because he did an agreement, I filed a case in Nakuru, fought for him. Proceedings which had been brought against him declare nullity. Together with Eric Theuri, Law Society of Kenya and Family, we filed a case in respect of Professor Nandwa, who had been abducted because he was representing a client who was suspected to be engaged in terrorism. We succeeded. Whoever had abducted him released him, independence of the bar. Number 3, as devolution chair, I ensured that branches in this country got their funds before there was a denial of one signature. But before they got their funds, I ensured there was accountability. What would I do if I'm elected as a president on the 10th of March 2022? Over and above that, I want to review the CPD fees from 1,500 to 1,000 together with council. I want to waive the certificate of good standing of 2,000 or 1,000 to 0 because we are members in good standing. Number 3, if you elect me as a president, I want to take the Law Society of Kenya to chapters in Sotik, to Kwale, across the country, because the strength of the Law Society of Kenya is felt better in the lowest of its units. Kipkoech is about rebuilding the Law Society of Kenya. It is about building a legacy that I've worked on, that I've developed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Metich. Now I'll give each one of you 1 minute just to react to the submissions of your competitors. Please stick to the 1 minute. I think we'll start with the reverse. Last, now you're first. Please, Metich.
Thank you very much, moderators. I agree that we need to have transparency and accountability as a society, but transparency and accountability should not break us. As the devolution chair, I had the privilege of working with the Rift Valley branch and the Western Kenya. Rift Valley was not well constituted. It was largely one center. We froze funds for a while, but gave them time to conduct elections. We got involved, and eventually they did elections. We released funds to them. West Kenya delayed in doing elections. As the devolution committee, we engaged them with some bit of force, but never came out to stop them completely from getting funds. What I am saying is this: you build institutions, you work for improvement of institutions as you support them. You do not ground them. Thank you.
Thank you. Under reaction, don't build up on your earlier submission. So next we have that is Daudi Caroline.
Thank you. I would take over a reaction from what Mr. Kipkoech said.
As much as we want to build the branches and the regional integration fund by giving the branches their funds, I too sat in the committee that he convened, the devolution committee, and we had issues. My reaction to that would be, much as we want to strengthen the branches, we are also as leaders accountable to the members. Members sweat every day to give us the funds, and we need to have the funds accounted for. So it's not about strengthening, but it's also about accountability as to how the members' funds are used in the branches. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Eric.
Thank you. I think we all have presented very impressive proposals in terms of what we intend to do for the Law Society. But I think the elephant in the room should be, what is your record in terms of implementation? And so I invite members to go to my website, www.erictheory.com, which has a list of accomplishments that we have achieved during my tenure, leading the Council of the Nairobi branch under extremely difficult circumstances, about 6 months without funds, and we had to fundraise. And so I ask you members to interrogate us, not on the basis of what we promised to achieve, but on the basis of what we have achieved. And I can assure you that if you examine my track record, my achievements, you will find that I'm the best suited candidate for the position of your president.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Deuri. Next is Mbati Omwanza.
Thank you for that. I've listened to all the candidates who have presented their manifesto. And my estimation is that the four of you have about 25 years of service one way or another to the Law Society. And I've not heard anything new that you'll do that you are given an opportunity that you are not able to do. You've had your time, and I think the ideas that you present, all of you, are good ideas, but they belong in the past. And so you need a leader who not only is able to provide solutions immediately, but also to be able to tell you that this is what we project to do in the next 5 years or in the next 2 years, and how it affects our profession. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omwanza. Next is Nyabena.
Thank you very much. I'm the senior-most counsel amongst those running. I'm happy that Mombasa originated the debate and new ideas come from Mombasa. For 111 years, Mombasa has never produced a president. I do not want to be president because I'm from the coast. When people talk about practice, ask them when Work Injury Benefits Act was being passed. I'm happy that 3 or 4 of my colleagues were there. Where were they? I took a flight at 4 o'clock to be in the Supreme Court to try and rectify issues of white bar. We are talking about 5 billion worth of practice to lawyers. When the Small Claims Court came in, we are the ones who filed the suit so that Parliament changed midstream to allow lawyers to practice. Ask them where were they. I do not have a website. Young lawyers and senior lawyers, go to Google, go to YouTube. I have been consistent on issues of rule of law. When the court was being attacked, I was issuing statements, and I am that candidate whom you want to elevate to president.
Thank you very much, candidates, for your summations. I think now the ground is set for us to go into the thematic areas. I would like to ask Dr. Nietzsche to start off.
Thank you very much, Weloba. I'll start by reading something. We trended a lot over the last 2 years. We trended in the media, and I'm just reading something as a prelude to the question that I'll ask. Its members have even risked their lives for the sake of our country. LSK has also helped to instill sense in our politics by castigating wayward politicians and even taking court action to protect public interest. Unfortunately, the fisticuffs and toppling of tables and chairs at the LSK offices on Tuesday made some of our worst politicians look like saints. And the question that I'm going to ask is around the issue of governance. When I look at the LSK Act, it vests power in the council, not the president. So no matter what your agenda is as a president, if you do not properly rope in the council, then you may not be able to deliver. Now, I want you to tell us, beyond rhetoric, how you will ensure collegiality within the council if you are elected. And we are going to start with Mr. Nyabena.
My story is very clear. When I was elected, I ran against my brother Pulu. I did not have any member of council who I was elected with. But I know you need to sacrifice and show goodwill to be able to run council. The chairman has no vote. The chairman offers leadership. And along the way, when your position is not accepted, you accept the decision of council. I have demonstrated this, even in the branches caucus. At times, things could get hot. But along the way, you must give way and sacrifice for the sake of the society. So I come from an enterprise that has shown sacrifice. Number two, when decision making is being done, and this is the major problem that we have, I'm not going to be a one-man show. I'm an enabler of ideas. I will enable council members. I will enable members of the law society. And let me add this. You know, for 2 years we had this animal called council, and some of the council members were here. No, at no time did any council member who were here come to Mombasa to ask us what was happening. They ran away with our baby. My duty is to bring back the management of the law society in the hands of members. Beyond having council meetings, you'll find me having tea the way we've had tea here at Abadea, speak ideas on members, and implement them. So the very idea that council is the only entity, I'm going to involve, as I've said in my agenda, even senior counsel. I'll also involve former chairman of the Law Society of Kenya, so that we have this. I remember in Mombasa, I've involved my brother Pulu, my brother Benjamin, even my brother Weloba is the one who formed the welfare. It's now being chaired by a former chairman of Mombasa Law Society, Joel Obura. You know how beautiful is it when members work together. I'm the person who is going to bring members to work together. Those who have forgotten, I don't mind. I've increased the committees. I know the problem with the Law Society of Kenya is when you elect people for 2 years, and I was there when I was elected chairman, people want to fight you because they think it's leadership. I have no problem. My duty is after 2 years, I want as many leaders as possible to have emerged. I will enable them. And this is the way to do it. It is not a strongman position. I at times step back
allow people to shine. The other day I was very happy when I listened to some of the young lawyers here saying, Nyabena, you motivated us, you allowed us to shine. I'll allow more members to shine in council and outside council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Umanza. How will you ensure collegiality if you're elected within the council?
I think the first thing that we need to do is actually to respect the Act. Read the law and implement it as it is. If you read Section 31 of the Law Societies Act, it says that council shall make decisions based on consensus. Based on consensus. If not, then by vote. One, I will pursue that line in terms of the Act. Try as much as possible to make decisions based on consensus. Two, if there is an idea and it originates from me and it's presented on council and I'm outvoted, I will respect it as a decision of council. The second is to have emotional intelligence. I think all of us need emotional intelligence in the way we deal with our members, the way we deal with council, and the way we interact with each other. I think it's just an issue of not only emotional intelligence, but of just sheer common sense and the way we handle each other. The third one is to try and have a training of council immediately we are elected. And I know this used to happen before. Immediately the council is elected, try to have a training of corporate governance and also try to gel and understand each other as individuals. And lastly is to always consult not only members of council, but the society so that we know the pulse of the society in terms of what the members want, what the members wish, and what they want to be implemented by their leaders.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deuri.
I view the position of President as the vision bearer of the society. So he has a responsibility to shepherd his team towards achieving the objects and his vision for the society. So the only way, in my view, to ensure you do that is to first understand your team, their strengths so that you can leverage on their strengths, their weaknesses so that you can be able to improve on their weaknesses. And together then you build a team that is geared towards achieving the unity of purpose, designed to achieve whatever objectives you intend. Ultimately, it is never possible in a room of lawyers to get full consensus. My style has always been to achieve consensus where possible, and where it is not, then the will of the majority would be respected. So that is my pledge to you, that I will be the president who will build collegiality, who will respect the views of other council members, who is a non-consensus builder. And that is the way I intend to approach the presidency of the Law Society of Kenya. The rules in terms of how council is supposed to run itself are well laid out in the regulations, in the council charter, and for as long as we stick to the rules, the regulation, and the council charter, I am optimistic that however diverse the membership of the society will be, we will be able to achieve consensus. Of course, I lead a council right now. We have never made a decision by way of voting. All our decisions have been by way of consensus. And I think it is a matter of notorious public knowledge that I have about 1 or 2 council members who can be a little bit difficult to deal with. But we have managed to operate the council with an element of utmost respect for each other's opinions. And I believe that with that kind of approach, with my known and proven skills of consensus building, we should be able to achieve unity and purpose within the council.
Thank you very much. Caroline Commander on collegiality.
Thank you. It is true that Section 17 of the Act establishes the council as the governing body of the society. But the Regulation 20, this is, and is couched in mandatory terms, that the decisions of council shall
shall be by majority vote. But there is also a provision in that regulation that the council shall first attempt to resolve the matters that they are facing if there is any issue that needs voting by consensus. So the first ground is to build consensus. The second one, if consensus fails, then there is need for members to make deliberations, then there is voting. I want to divert a few points made by my colleagues. As the president of the council, of the society, also the buck stops at you in terms of the legality or illegalities of the decisions. So it is your duty as the president to guide your council members on the legalities or even as they vote, or the validity of the decisions that you take. If the decisions the decision that is made by the council or the majority of the council is a valid decision, having read or looked at the law, at the provisions, then you should be able to be bound by that decision, because that regulation also says that the members of the council are collectively responsible. So the first thing I would remind my council is that we are all collectively responsible. Secondly, and I think what also came out of here and during the VP debate, is to air our council decisions or deliberations out in the public. So I think that is something I will guard against, and I will also encourage my members not to go out to air our deliberations out here. Let the president or the CEO communicate the official position taken by the council. As a president, a majority of you know me, I'm a calm person. I will know when to retreat, when to call my council members to the agreement. Of course, I will embrace diversity, but above everything also, I will know that the buck will stop to me, at me in terms of guiding my council members. So that will be my take on that question, but I will endeavor, and I have endeavored, even in these skirmishes in the last 2 years, I have not aired any dirty linen out here in the public. So I will try as much as possible to understand my team and give guidance where I am needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nyati.
Thank you very much. I will do 4 things for purposes of advancing originality at the council level. The president is the fulcrum of the society, though it's not an organ of the society. Once selected, I would persuade council members with top management. We go on a bonding retreat. While at the retreat, I would invite a scientific person to analyze personalities. Those who are outliners, those who are green, those who are red, so that I know the kind of people that I am dealing with. Number 2, I would want us to agree on the agenda for council for the next 2 years, and probably even a strategic plan for the society for the next 15 years. Number 3, before meetings at the council level, I will reach out to my colleagues and tell them, see, as the president and the vision bearer, this thing I am proposing is legal, and these are the reasons why I think we should support it. I will lobby colleagues. Once I come to council meetings, I will not have a hardline position. I would allow colleagues in council to make a decision by consensus, failing consensus by a majority decision. If a decision is made, I will not go out there ranting, raving, and throwing brickbats against those who made a decision against the chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we will just remain there with you as we go back anti-clockwise. And still on governance, it is no secret that there have been glaring gaps in governance, especially with regard to the demarcation of roles between secretariat and council. Now, if you are elected, Mr. Ngetich, what will you do within the first 30 days? I will not give you 100 because you don't have that much time in 2 years. What will you do within the first 30 days? What interventions will you make so as to deal with those gaps, glaring gaps, practical ways?
Thank you very much, Dr. Mercy Deche. Within the first 30 days of my election as a president of the Law Society of Kenya, I want to do the bonding that I've mentioned for the council. I want to do a meeting with the top management of the secretariat so that we know what are some of the challenges that we faced in the last 2 years, that we faced in the last 4 years, that we faced since 2016 when we've been fighting. Once that is done, We agree on a strategic plan for implementation by the Secretariat. We agree on a strategic plan for purposes of supervision by the national office. And we will no longer ignore the branches and the branch chapters. I would want to have a meeting with them within the next 30 days so that under the regulations and under the LSK Act, for example, Section 24, what are practice areas that the branches can deal with? What are these practice areas that the national office can deal with? Because today we have a fusion where the national office is pursuing the same thing with the CJ, the branches are pursuing the same thing with the CJ. I would want to have a meeting with all these people within 30 days and agree on a roadmap on what we should be doing at the branch level, what we should be doing at the national level, and have a program of how we shall be meeting with the branches and the chapters for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. The elephant in the room in that question was the problem of separation of power, of roles between the Secretariat and the Council. Caroline Kamende.
Thank you. That is
your mic.
Thank you.
Ngetich, turn off your mic.
My apologies.
Thank you, Dr. The elephant in the room and in the law society, as correctly put by Dr. is governance. The issue that needs to be addressed first is communication. We need to draw the gaps, or we need to draw the lines. Who needs to communicate to members?
What are the roles of the CEO or the secretary to the board as per Section 26 of the Law Society? So my first agenda would be, first, we don't have a CEO, it's recruitment of a CEO, and make sure that she understands and the council understand their roles under the respective regulations and the statutes that we have governing the Law Society. That would be my first agenda. Secondly, also, there is a problem with the human resource manual at the Law Society that govern members of staff. I had, as the chair of staff, finance and budget, started review of the same. So that will be one of my agendas in the first 30 days. We review so that each and every directorate and each and every member of staff know where the buck stops, where they draw the lines, from whom they get orders, and how they should take directives. Because we had issues of structure and also communication from even the members of staff. We'd get a member of staff saying that I will not communicate to you directly. So that is one thing that I intend to do. Secondly is to take my council members for training on corporate governance. That is one of the things that broke the back of the camel's back, because we had communication coming from east, west, and central. Thirdly, Regulation 51 gives us the power to formulate policies and procedures that will help in management of funds and society's assets and liabilities. So that is something that I would want to pursue, so that there is a demarcation between the extent the management will deal with members' funds and the policies that the council needs to make and the implementation thereof. Of course, within 30 days, I would allocate my council members committees and also meet with the management and help the management understand that there's a new council that is in place, and allocate them to council members for purposes of implementing the decisions of the committees. And then finally, so that we do not have matters being leaked out, I will ensure that council members sign the council charter. In the last 2 years, we never signed the council charter, because that is where the issue of confidentiality and disclosure of conflict is tackled. It is not in the act, it is in the council charter.
Is your phone a mobile phone? Okay.
Yes, Rosie. I was saying that I will ensure that all council members understand the import of signing the council charter. In the last 2 years, we did not sign the council charter, and that is why we had members leaking out confidential information out here. And of course, I had said that I will also draw the roadmap of what we need to achieve as councils, advise them on how to achieve their mandates. So my 30 days will be to ensure that there's training and there's also the good working relationship between the management and the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Those who know what to do when such a noise is emanating from the gadgets, please help us. Someone suspects maybe if you have a phone too close to the mic, just maybe push it back. Eric Teul.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that question. You know, the State Commission. 2 or 3 things that I intend to do within the first 30 days. The first thing is to conduct a governance audit. It's a statutory requirement for governance audit to be conducted, just so that we can understand if there are any gaps within the governance structure of the Law Society, and if the gaps are there, then we are given the measures to implement and reduce those gaps. Secondly is to impress upon the council members on the different roles that they play, that we are a policy-making body, and under Section 24 of the Act, the Secretariat is actually the body that implements the decisions of council. So I will, as much as possible, reduce the incidence of direct communication between council members and employees, because that can have an intimidating effect on the employees, so that all communication to the Secretariat should come through the Secretary from any council member, as opposed to direct communication with the council members. I would also indicate to the Secretariat that they have the necessary autonomy to run the functions of the society insofar as the day-to-day running of the society is concerned, and that we only retain a bird's eye view in terms of the implementation of the necessary decisions that the council have made. I also intend to, pending the outcome of the governance audit, to also subject the council charter to a review, just to determine whether it meets the best practices, and also establish the council charters for the various subcommittees of the council in the event that those are not there. So we will undertake a complete situational analysis of the various committees of the council, find out whether their scope and mandate is properly documented in a charter, and once we have that, then I believe that we should be able to create the proper structures to ensure that there is complete autonomy between the policy decision making of the board and the day-to-day running of the Secretariat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Umwanza, and I remind the candidates that the crossfire you will have, you'll be at liberty to ask questions with regard to the responses that you are getting now. Mr. Ombati?
The first thing that I intend to do as the President of the Law Society is to the Law Society of Kenya Act is very clear on the roles of council under Section 17 and 30 and 31, and it's also clear about what the Secretariat is supposed to do under Section 17 Act. So the first thing as the leader of the society is to respect the law and implement it. The second is to have a meeting with the entire staff of the society and assess their level of confidence, and also reassure them that we intend to work together where they are supporting our mandate and also our vision. The third one is to ask for a meeting between the council and the chair of the branches across the country, so that we declare a public ceasefire. So that now, because now we are going into peacetime operations, there is no time. I mean, we've had our wars, but now we need peacetime. So that is the third thing that I need to do, because those are immediate actions. The fourth one is to, as I said, to meet together as council and have a quick bonding session and also training on corporate governance and each of our roles as per the law. And lastly is to advertise for recruitment of a CEO who is competent and who has the passion to serve members and also implement the vision of council.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nyabena.
As I stated, my approach is to take it to the members within 30 days of election. I'll declare a free CBD where all members within the chapters will meet and discuss on issues that they need and to be changed within the Law Society of Kenya. Having done so, I'll also have within 30 days a session with all elected officials. You can see all our manifestos which are not in tandem with corporate governance, so that we are able to be debriefed that yes, you promised A, but you cannot deliver it. Number 3, I look for the Institute of Chartered Secretaries who are able to train our members. I think they are very willing to train our members, to train the council, to train everybody else involved, including myself. I do not come as a master on some of these issues. I'll assess staff needs so that we have sufficient staff. I've indicated out there that for the entire period of my 4 years tenure, I've been forwarded information that Nyabena go look for my PC, go look for my letter of clearance. The first duty I want to give the CEO is how we can be able for each lawyer within the Republic of Kenya to have a customer relations officer, so that no longer will you be able to call you a chairman, you will just have a number to call within LSK. I see my colleagues have been in council for this time. They've never thought about it. They've heard that calls are not being answered. They've heard that emails are not being answered, but they have not been able to offer a solution. Give me a few days, you'll be able to have a CRO. If a CRO does not work, we'll be able to take measures as required by the law. So all in all is that we need to change the approach. We need to be more focused on members as the Secretariat. We need to own it, and we need to depoliticize. The Secretariat is very politicized. I'll take steps to depoliticize. I took my papers, then I wanted to take a photograph with member of staff. They were running away because if they are seen, even on an innocent level, posing with a future president, they think it's politics. I'll ensure they are safe, secured, their salaries will not be delayed, they'll be paid in time, so that they are able to discharge their mandate. I'll also ensure that the CEO of the society does not only work from Nairobi. How beautiful it will be for members in Kisumu to have the CEO work from Kisumu. We are now digital, we have now devolved. Why can't the CEO work from Mombasa? We don't want to see them quickly running with what they call branch visits. I want to turn it around. I want to be the least visible but most effective president of the Law Society, because I allow the CEO to work, I allow the staff to work, and I make changes that are today, for today and forever.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nyabena and the candidates. Again, thank you for that round of questions. The next thematic area we're going to is multifaceted. Because of the time, I would like to crash it into an all-rounded presentation of yourself. As the president of the Law Society, and I think you've known in the past, the president of the Law Society of Kenya has literally been the conscience of the country. In terms when there was no serious opposition, the Law Society has stood in that gap. So when you take this position, you are not only looking after the Law Society, you're also looking after the country at large. Yes, it's easy to say, I intend to do this, I intend to do that. I'm going to ask this question. How do you, as a president, intend to balance or to wear the different roles that will enable you to engage with the judiciary, with the executive, and with the public without detracting from the statutory obligations of the Law Society? Start with Nyabena.
First, I think of myself as a centrist person. Centrist in the sense that my first duty is to God. Second, my duty is to the law. I'll implement the law as it is, notwithstanding who occupies that office. And you will judge me by history. Among the candidates here, just go and Google on who has spoken on the rule of law, who spoke about when resources were not being supplied to the judiciary, who spoke about when interference of the independence of judges was done, who spoke about the appointment of judges. Some of the candidates here, you will not get a single statement, but Nyabena has done it. I remember there is along the way when I was making these statements, people came to me and said, Nyabena, you are crossing the line. I said, I stand for the truth. I will always stand for the truth, though heavens fall. So that is my approach, that I'll not be looking aside over my shoulder to issue this statement. I have demonstrated firmness. Check my record. The record speaks for itself. Please do some little bit of research. Even when Miguna was being deported, you'll find a video on YouTube. I had just been appointed, I think, 1 month or 2 months. And we spoke that unless we obey and let justice be our shield and defender, we will not succeed. My background speaks to me. I will not listen to another voice. I'll listen to the voice of the law. And as I've said, my presidency will be member-centered. Along the way, I will have to walk around, consult members, convene kamkunjis, so that we are able to take a position that not only reflects what I feel, but reflects the will of not only senior lawyers, but also younger lawyers. How beautiful it is when we will start speaking in unison with one voice. And that is the approach that I wish to take. And I know that I will be able to do it with the help of God and all of you members. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go to the next candidate, just to reiterate my question, you have the head of the Law Society, you have the head of the judiciary, and you have the head of government. All of them meaning well, but maybe not seen from the same page. What is your formula of getting the Law Society's intentions through these kind of positions? Omati?
As you can see, as you've identified, the role of the president of the Law Society is a heavy task. And obviously, one of the things that you must do is to be able to know how to delegate. To delegate some of your roles to the committees which are competent to be able to execute the mandate of council. Number one, that gives you time also to be able to have sort of a view, a holistic view of what is happening around the society, because you need that time. You can't micromanage everything. The second one is to speak in terms of our tradition that we've had for the last 74 years, to speak when we are needed to speak, to shout when we are needed to shout, to go to court when you are needed to go to court, but also engage when you're needed to engage in terms of legislation under Article, 118 of the Constitution, and also under our objects through the society. Lastly, obviously, is to be an objective voice in terms of issues of great public interest and issues of great national importance. So I'll be that voice. I'll be a strong voice for the society, but I'll also be respectful to the members and also to the other branches of government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dewi? Your microphone? Your mic, please.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for that question. During my tenure as the chair of the Nairobi branch, I have demonstrated soberness, objectivity, and firmness whenever we have been dealing
with the various government agencies. We did make a statement upon the allegations that came out on Justice Chitembwe. We made a statement on the appointment of judges, but we also worked with the judiciary to ensure that the e-filing system is up and running. And I remember at one time, because of a letter which we wrote to the Chief Justice, we had a meeting of the entire judiciary with the Nairobi branch. Entire, I mean the CJ, the deputy CJ, the head of IT, the head of finance, the principal judge, the Court of Appeal judge, the registrar of magistrates, the registrar of the High Court. So we got the entire court, including the judges of the specialized courts, to sit in a meeting, and it is out of that meeting that we established a small committee that has been working behind the scenes to ensure the success of e-filing that we have today. On matters to do with lands, we have had a lot of challenges. I have been able to engage with the ministry, and to date, Nairobi branch is the only branch of the Law Society that receives bi-weekly updates from the Ministry of Lands in terms of the transactions that they have completed. But out of that discussion, what have we also been able to achieve? We've also been able to come up with, finalize the regulations on Sectional Properties Act. We've been able to, together with the branch chairs of Mount Kenya, representative of Murang'a, representative of Kajiado, and the Southeastern branch, we got all of them to Naivasha into a meeting to discuss the issue of conversion and the digitization of land transactions within the metropolitan region, and we came up with a conversion manual. We've also been able to come up with the regulations on sectional properties and amendments to the Sectional Properties Act so that we can take care of the questions of mixed user and first developments. So I have demonstrated that whenever there is a need to go to court, and Mr. Mbati is here, we instructed him to go to court against the Attorney General when the Attorney General issued a policy barring government agencies from hiring external counsel. We went to court and we obtained an order to stay that. Mr. Kipkoech has spoken about the fact that we went to court and we obtained an order to stop, to get an order for habeas corpus when our colleague, Mr. Nando, Professor, was abducted. So I have demonstrated that I have the right mix of skills to engage and to attack, and I use each depending on the circumstances of the case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Caroline?
Thank you. The role of the society and the president, and the interaction between the president and the society, members of the public, the